I'm going for the Bullies, Bruce. They've won their last 4, so winning form's good form for mine.
Gerard Healy.
Well, I thought that Swans could take some heart out of last week's loss. They looked quite good. Lockett's kicked some goals in the last week, and I'm going to stick with the Swans.
Pete McKenna over in the Great Southern Stand. Who do you like, Peter?
Well, I think I'll go for the Bulldogs too. And interesting, Bruce, Rowan Smith lining up at full forward.
We know who Terry Wheeler's going for. Sydney won the toss. They kicked to the left of screen.
Their setup against the Crows was terrific a couple of weeks ago, the Bulldogs, in the forward line.
Stafford and Wine, first bounce. Dent, first kick. Deep to full forward. Rowan Smith playing there, held on to, free kick. A sensational start for the Dogs. Peter McKenna, just tell us about the background. Why would Rowan Smith be playing at full forward, do you reckon?
Well, I think he's a goal kicker, and it's an unusual tactic, but I think, well, it's obviously worked, and he was grabbed when he didn't have the ball then, Bruce, and I think it's a good move just to change tactics a little bit.
Also has the bonus of getting Andrew Dunkley away from fullback where he's most comfortable.
So they may do the merry-go-round here early. Smith, a tentative shot for goal. He's kicked a lot of goals as a half-back running player this year, but there's a miss in the opening minute of play. Well, Peter, you've been calling for over 20 years. I don't boast such a record, but I haven't called a match with you yet.
No, it's the first time, and looking forward to it, Bruce. O'Brien kicks in. Robbo and I walked around the boundary lines. Very warm out there. You can't play footy today, you can't play footy. Terrific atmosphere down on the ground. Kelly in the back pocket, getting the boos at the crowd. I don't know about Jared's view that there are more Swanee supporters than Bulldogs fans, so I think it's pretty well evenly divided. A lot of the old South Melbourne fans coming back to the fold. Orchard, pressuring Johnson. West, Montgomery, loves a goal. 45 out, goes at him, and gets the first one of the game, or is he missed? It's there.
Bruce, their setup against the Crows in Adelaide a couple of weeks ago took the Crows by storm. It was Montgomery, Johnson, you mentioned Rowan Smith. They were all goal kickers early in the game, and they took the initiative right away from the Crows. This looks as though it's the pattern for today.
An unfortunate fumble there by Mark Orchard, who has lined up on Johnson. And this fellow is a danger. Montgomery can kick goals. He can take a mark. He plays a little bit taller than his actual size. And he's lined up against Craig O'Brien, who's changed from a forward pocket to a back pocket.
Terrific watching the matchups between the two coaches. Kelly's kick was probably a little disappointing from the full-back line that gave the Bulldogs the chance to get the first goal of the game. Now Brian Sheehan has found a free kick. An indiscretion against the Swans. That's Maxfield on Ramiro, but I don't think there was a free kick against that. I think it might have been Cresswell. It's kicked towards half forward, not that far away from the Bulldogs' goal. Kick back, and it's been marked by Darcy. Already Luke Darcy has had a couple of important possessions in this game. He kicks across the full forward line, and on the end of it is James Cook. So Peter McKenna, James Cook, the first chance here for him to kick a goal today.
Well, he's a very, very long kick, Robbo. He was be kicking from 45 metres. He's got a funny run up. As you see him run, he'll run to the right a little bit, and he almost slips as he kicks, but he is normally a long and accurate kick.
Libber and Kelly, interesting a moment ago. Creswell, I should say, and Libber off the ball. Some interesting stuff going on here.
Well, you wouldn't think that James Cook would have any trouble with the distance. One sock up, one sock down. Just a little unusual as we watch him prepare for the Bulldogs' second goal of the game. He doesn't get the distance. He's kicked it right to the line, and a good mark is taken there by Stafford.
And it's a very crowded Bulldog forward line. It's one of the reasons why Cook has had to lead wide, but they're dragging Darcy up the ground and taking Paul Roos along with him.
Stafford wide, Lewis a target, wind over Kelly. Read well by Stevens, handball. This will stretch Roos, the 34-year-old. Played it beautifully in the path of Kelly. Still working it in front. No damage done. Grant goes to him and pushes him over the line. It'll be a boundary throw-in, but the Swans have passed the centre line for the first time in the match. Very big crowd here now. Huge atmosphere. One of those finals you're just not sure if it's a knockout or not. You wouldn't want to be the loser, particularly if you're Sydney. Good mark by Roos.
And Rodney Eads responded pretty quickly. He's taken Dunkley back to full back on Rowan Smith.
Creswell got around Ramiro pretty easily. Kicks to full forward. Lockett will be very late. White may have heard something. Maxfield for goal. Close. Misses. A behind.
And I think what Scotty Wine heard was the thunderous footsteps of big Tony Lockett. He was in the perfect position, should have taken that mark, but there is always the thought in the back of every human's mind that big Tony is coming steaming through.
Cameron from the back pocket looks for Dent, finds him. Lewis runs with him, won't catch him. Johnson short of centre wing, over the head of West. Rowan Smith long way out from goal. You're looking for Cook on a lead and marks. And Pete McKenna, terrific lead. He's a good kick, but I think this is even further around towards the boundary than his previous effort. So very similar shot.
And it didn't take long for Rodney Eade to be able to break this change of tactic by Terry Wallace. As soon as Dunkley went to full back, Rowan Smith went up into his normal position.
Kicked 7 last week against Hawthorn. Angle acute. And judging by the lack of reaction, 1 behind. Hit by James Cook, his first score of the game. Bulldogs to 1-2, and they lead Sydney by 7 points.
Well, pretty good start by the Bulldogs. They look fairly settled. And we have a look at what Craig O'Brien from the goal post cam is confronted with. Craig O'Brien's kick comes to the members' side. Terrific mark taken by Luff. Luff quickly moves it down to a vacant wing area. Crediuk, the bounce was awkward for Steve Crediuk, but he did well in the finish. He just got one little vital touch to the football, carried in front of himself and over for a boundary throw in just forward of centre wing, favouring the Bulldogs.
17 at the moment, expected to get to 20. Just a beautiful day here. Tap by Stafford through Kelly's legs. Little toe poke by Darcy was effective. Scott West has had a good year. Run down by Dyson. Great tackle. Luff quickly to Maxfield on his wrong side. Wine should cut it off. He does this time. Lock it onto him. Wine's handball to Croft. Croft at half-back delivers to Crediuk. Stretched him a bit. Over the top, Ramiro Kelly. Beautiful take. Wonderful play. Handball was sensational to Stevens. Let's hope he can use it. To centre half forward, Carey late. Over the back. We'll be calling that Sunday night, won't we? Arnott, Barry goes for it. And it's close and he's just missed. Kelly's play out here was fantastic. Barry with a miss. It's 8-2.
Yeah, great play by the skipper. Inspirational. We'll have another look at it. This is just pure speed, pure strength. Keeps his feet, doesn't go over the boundary line, and has the vision, the poise to get away a disposal, an effective one at that under enormous pressure. But you've got to say that the tactic of dropping Scott Wine back into the hole for Tony Lockett has worked a couple of times.
Liam Cameron got the hurry up from the goal umpire, or the umpire. Swanee's away. Hudson from Johnson. Doggies, we should say. Lewis. There was some doubt about him taking his place on the side, but he looks okay. Ruse, call him the super veteran. O'Brien. O'Brien from right half back. Nix, good grab. Thought about going on to Maxfield. Dent ties him up.
Todd Curley's got the job on O'Loughlin, who hasn't been able to feature in the play as yet, but can turn the game around pretty quickly. Lewis
at midfield. A very dry MCC midfield. Stevens, plugger. Kicked 8, his best effort when these sides last met. 5 last round, so the big man coming back to some good form.
And effectively, this is where Tony Lockett is going to have to shoot for goal from, because Scott Wine is sitting right in front of him, so that's going to cut off those leads straight up the middle. And Peter McKenna, you might be able to take us through this one with Tony Lockett.
Well, one of the great kicks of all time we're talking about here, Gerard. He only takes short little steps in, and he actually places the ball on his boot better than any player I've ever seen. Tremendous concentration, as you can see.
He's right on 50. Just hooks it a little bit, and that little bit was enough to take the woodwork. So 1 behind, kicked by Tony Lockett, his first score of the day. And it makes the difference 5 points. 3 behinds to 1-2.
I think this is terrific, this super slow-mo replay of Tony Lockett. Don't you get you capture everything there. The big man striving, skidding on the ground, but grasping the football close to the turf, and he did control it quite nicely in the finish. The kick in by Cameron, he kicked it to himself and then got well outside 50 metres. It's going to go bouncing back. Maxfield's quick kick towards the vacant centre forward area, but taking a good mark there in defence for the Bulldogs is Curley. Hand pass away. Dent. Further wider still. Bit of confusion there between Montgomery as Roos mops up. Gerard, early in a game, I mean, two players going for the football, both focused. Good sign or bad sign? Confusion?
Well, I think we just saw two players desperate to get a touch of the ball early. Every player wants to get on the stat sheet to have an impact. But the Swans are just going to have to be careful with Montgomery. He's just sitting off the zone there, and he's going to be the dangerous player if they can break that zone.
Well, Cresswell is caught with the ball there by Tony Liberatore, but Libba just having a little look for the umpire, not rewarded by the tackle. Quickly concentrates and gets back to his man as Cresswell regains his footing. The umpire will bounce. Romero has Cresswell, and Liberatore quite anxiously on Paul Kelly. We have another look at that tackle. It was effective. There was a bit of a dust up. The ball is at half forward for the Swans. Lockett, kick across his shoulder. He's hooked it too far. Well, he's had a couple of chances, big plugger. Two behind so far.
He's just got to rearrange or adjust the telescopic sight as we have a look at the Swans bench there with Cook, Mooney and Shannon Grant. But the good sign as we have a look from above the Whitman's lightship is that Tony Lockett is moving well. He's won the ball a couple of times. He's just got to get his sights fixed on the goals. Cameron
goes short to Scott West. Has a bit of space. Comes from half-back, kicks the ball to centre wing. Swans have got numbers here. Pushing forward was Luff. Cox did a good job. Handball, a slow one to Ramiro. He's onto it. His handball cut off by Stafford. Was always on there to be cut off. Back to Luff. Didn't he play a first quarter in the grand final last year? Hugging the line. Is it over? It is. There's Ramiro. So Ramiro and Libba are going to be on screen a lot today, I think. Here's Cox at centre wing. Short. Gets to Dent. He's had a good year. Ex-Fitzroy. Measures the kick to half forward. Wants Cook. Roos front spot. Well done, Roos. Not paid. Thought he had a fair bit of it in the front. At the back, Grant. Ball still to be won, and there's going to be a bounce down.
Brian Sheen obviously didn't feel as though Paul Roos controlled that, so didn't pay the mark as a result. Certainly looked as though he had two firm grabs.
Especially as it was punched away afterwards. I thought it could have gone even further at 50 metres, but anyway. Ramiro a chance. Montgomery on the bottom, and it's going to be a ball up right next to the boundary line, right on 50 in the glorious sunshine out there. We saw the weather a little bit back there, 17 degrees, forecast top of 20, a little bit more out in the sun, you'd reckon. Darcy off a step, Luff in front, can hear them coming. Oh, they come from everywhere. Grant measures it, snaps and kicks Trolley. Doggy second. Well, he's going to be a key, and number 4 at the other end is going to be a key, Tony Lockett. But Lockett's had 2 misses, Grant 1 kick, 1 goal, 2-2 to 4 behinds.
And they're doing this well, the Dogs, because Darcy's coming up from the forward pocket to take the ruck work. Scotty Wine is still maintaining his defensive post, thus blocking any quick charge down there by the Swans. But now Roos has got the job ahead of him on the superstar for the Bulldogs.
So Paul Roos playing on Chris Grant just gave him a little bit of leeway. Chris Grant able to snap the Bulldogs' second goal. They lead 2-2 to 4 behinds. Scotty Wine terrific to Ramiro. Ramiro's kick has been well marked. Terrific football by the Bulldogs. It's Montgomery. He's on the forward end of the 50. He's kicked towards full forward. No mark, so the spills are there. Rowan Smith has kicked a miraculous goal. Well, that is just a sensational goal for the Western Bulldogs. They've kicked their third and they lead by 16 points.
Yeah, great take from the middle by the Bulldogs. They have got momentum going for them. They've got a lot of support here. And right at this stage, it's say that the Swans, if they are to win, it would be a miraculous performance, because they've now got to not only battle a supercharged side, but it's a supercharged side with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum, having kicked a couple of good goals early.
3-2 to 4 points. Jose Ramiro having a long talk to Grant Vernon at the start of this bounce. Very interesting as he quickly wins the ball and kicks it straight to Roos.
And Roos electing to stay back rather than follow his man Chris Grant in. Sure, Grant would be just acting as the lure, trying to take Roos away from that position.
Luff to Stafford. Stafford high ball. Lockett's going to be the target. 3 against him. Wine courageously that time against the flow. Kelly, they need a goal. Missed again.
Wine in a bit of trouble, Bruce, but he gets to his feet. He's a tremendously courageous player and a great leader for the Bulldogs. He knew he was going to get crunched, but he went back bravely.
So Cook comes on. 5 chances for the Swans.
And in many respects, the job that Scotty Wine is doing there,
his own man,
is like fielding as a bat pad in cricket. Eventually, you're going to cop one.
A couple of trainers, Scotty Wine asked them to go away. So it's 20-5. The Doggies by 15.
I think he'd be having a word to Matthew Croft at the huddle. The mark. Dyson tried for Kelly, under pressure. Dent charges through. Cameron. Curley. More bandages than Farah. Gets caught. Great tackle.
It's got to be
Stafford not rewarded. Now Cameron. From Ellis. Marking contest at half forward. Upper chance. Or Darcy. Cannoned into. Ball jar free in the tackle. Arnott spears it up towards Dyson at midfield. The umpires have put the whistle away. Liberatore. Now there is a whistle this time. A holding decision going Sydney's way. Creswell's going to take the free kick.
And just his second kick this afternoon, but we saw John Russo, our 4th umpire, a couple of decisions there. What about prior opportunity?
Well, I didn't think that there was a prior opportunity in the centre of the ground, simply because I didn't think he took the player on. This is the Creswell free kick. Holding paid in that, I can't see anything. I honestly think that was an incorrect decision if holding was paid.
Gee whiz, the umpires trying to stamp their authority on the game, I feel, with a couple of very, very questionable decisions. But the footballer's with Cresswell, and he'll kick from 50 metres. Kicks to the front of the square, and well done. Dent got back to help out and has marked safely across the full back line. One bounce, a second bounce will carry the ball nearly outside the defensive 50. Johnson with the football. Short pass is all right. The mark is taken by Curley. Looking to handball on, does so, not having to change stride, so it was a good hand pass to Dent and an excellent kick by Dent. Just hooked it at the last moment and gave the opportunity to Grant. Could nearly score. No, he goes for the pass into the pocket, it's good. And Rowan Smith is causing some problems. He and Montgomery are really running the Swans defenders around in a circle up on that full forward line for the Bulldogs. They've kicked 3-2 to 5 behinds, and Rowan Smith the opportunity to kick the Bulldogs' 4th goal. Peter McKenna.
Working fantastically by Terry Wallace. Smith and Cook interchanging. Smith leading up the ground, Cook going back, and they're interchanging. Great forward play.
Beautiful kick by Rowan Smith. He's kicked his 2nd goal. Two goals to Rowan Smith, one each to Chris Grant and Brett Montgomery, and the Swans are still goalless.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start this by the Bulldogs now. Important there that Chris Grant got a touch. And this matchup could hurt the Swans because Roos does love to drop back and read the ball, trying to second-guess the opposition. But the Bulldogs will continually look for Grant. It may be a problem for them long-term.
Look at the fans, they're fired up, aren't they? Just like their team at the moment, the Bulldogs. Wine tried to get West, he did. West handball went behind Cameron. Good enough to get back to Dent. There were 4 Bulldogs lining up there. Dent on the left foot as he kicks the ball out wide. Dent's had 6 kicks in the first half of the opening quarter. Ramiro rode the tackle well and then handballed on. The Bulldogs start today, 4-2 to 5 points. As an ex-coach who took them to the finals, Terry Wheeler, it's stirring stuff.
It certainly is. I think the real benefit has been Rowan Smith being able to take it out of the midfield, and it's been balanced by the runner Cameron. Cameron getting off Orchard. That's the real critical one just at the stage for the Dogs. The momentum really is with them, Bruce.
No doubt about that. It's 26 to 5, and I think what's hurting Sydney too is they've had 3 or 4 good chances. Kelly missed, Lockett missed 2, Maxfield missed 1, Barry missed 1. They were all gettable. You'd reckon they'd want at least 3 out of the 5, and they've got none of them. Creswell, he'll keep going, you know that. Scott West, Dyson hanging on. West again, little left foot, tried to keep it low. Cut off by Creswell at centre wing. Creswell kicks, his kick is also smothered.
Partially smothered. Cameron there for the chance. He's been good. Kick drops a little bit short. Grant taps it on. Darcy on the end of it. too close as the boundary line, and also Stafford. Peter McKenna enjoying the sunshine, and what a start.
It is beautiful out here. Perfect conditions for all players, particularly the forwards, but the desperation of Footscray on this forward line is, the Bulldogs, I should say, is absolutely tremendous to watch.
Stafford palms at the midfield, Curley in the road. Time to steady, no one comes at him. Goes long, kicks towards centre half forward. Smith again. Maybe just a little bit too far out to score, so he's looking for options. He's already kicked 2 goals, Rowan Smith. 26 goals now for the year. 3rd in the club's best and fairest last year. Oh, bad marking. And Cox slips into a little hole. The half forward where Cook had a couple of shots from earlier in the quarter. Look at the eyes darting. Pinpoint accuracy, and Mooney and Roos unable to stop that. 21 points is the margin. As I said, Cook had a couple of chances from here. A pretty acute angle, but distance won't be a problem. 45 out, he kicks. After waiting the goal umpire, it looks okay. It's there. Well, the Bullies are on fire. 5-2 to 5 behinds.
Well, don't worry about the Western Bulldogs. They're in this game for a long, long way. You would have to suggest it's a great start, Jared.
Oh, yes, it's almost an unbeatable start. The Swans would really have to come out charged in the second term, but Rowan Smith his pace and the setup, I think, from Terry Wallace has been all important. The Swans have reacted by putting Dale Lewis into the forward line.
Well, that is the scoreboard, folks. 5-2 to 5 behind. Sydney still goalless. We've got 6.5 minutes left in this first term. Trying to get away with Dyson. Kelly missed his target, and that has been the name of the game so far. Liberatore got it back nicely to Johnson. Johnson sets it up beautifully. Chance here for Montgomery. Montgomery's already kicked one, gets past, straightens up. Brett Montgomery goes for goal, and the Bullies have got another one. Magnificent footy, Brett Montgomery. This is a wonderful start to a crucial finals game here at the MCG. For the Western Bulldogs, they lead 6-2 to 5 behinds.
Well, this is Peter Matera at its best. He ignored Chris Grant, who was clearly there for the lead if he wanted it, but he took them on. And I reckon Terry Wallace would be rapt to see a player just throwing down the gauntlet.
Jipper. What a great goal that was, Bruce. We're right behind that one. Already you can see the control that the Doggies have. The Swans have already used 3 of their players off the bench, and I don't expect to see Troy Cook take a lot of part in this game. I think he's injured.
Gee, Cook injured, okay. It looks like he's had a driving muscle problem for a while. It's going to come back here to Johnson. Centre breaks all in favour of the Doggies at the moment. Their possessions are more than double the Swans, and look at the centre breaks. 7-0. Curley gets it from Johnson. Johnson's had 7 possessions. Roos. Somebody's got to stand up quickly for the Swans. Maxfield gets it. Chips to Dale Lewis. Has to wait. Then steady. Kick, good one. Inside. Now, Luff should have gone to Maxfield. He's gone the other way. Okay to Dyson. But they've gone backwards, whereas Maxfield would have been away. Lachlan's first touch. He's important. A floating kick, terrible kick. Ryan's got it. And that was a part of their play that Rodney Eade was incensed about last Saturday night. And Lachlan was one of them. And today, Kelly, unfortunately, has given up a couple that have resulted in goals as well. That's a beautiful kick from Croft coming to Johnson.
And Johnson was in the hands of the trainers just before going for that mark, and he's got another one into the midriff.
9 possessions into Curley.
Curley at half-back onto Wine, who's recovered from that knock. Nearly caught, back to Curley. But the Bulldogs with the numbers has been the story of the quarter. Curley's kick towards centre half forward. 2-on-2 marking contest. Grant caught behind. Shuffled out the front. Smith again. Darcy. Dent. Kick number 7. Bounce is going to be crucial. Dunkley can mop it up and does. That's out of bounds, but there is a whistle further back.
Free kick. It was a free kick, and Brian Sheen was about to award the advantage, but it was not the advantage, so it's had to go back.
So a pretty smart decision there. An experienced umpire, and there's 3 players that started on the ground, or 2 at least. Stuart Maxfield has been cut up by Brad Johnson on the wing, and he's been benched to have a look at it.
O'Loughlin to Dunkley again. Dunkley over the head of Mooney. Oh, a bad fumble down there by Carey. Johnson. They might get another one. Hudson goes at goal. Cook in the square. He's had a couple of shots already. They've both been on the angle. And Peter McKenna, was that being in the right place at the right time or what?
Well, it certainly was, because Chris Grant was ignored on the handball then by Johnson, and he was incensed, and the quick kick floated over the back, and Cook won't miss this one.
From point blank range, Cook kicks another one. Where are the Swannies?
Well, this is a fantastic start by the Western Bulldogs. 7-2 to 5 behinds. James Cook has just kicked his first goal, and we'll have another look at the poor fumble there by Stephen Carey.
Once again, it was Rowan Smith who just created that one with a quick handball under pressure. Got it to the right option, but it was right, Robbo. The fumble cost you, and the coach will be furious at quarter time.
Well, it really is the story of the opening 20 minutes of this final. The Bulldogs with so much surety with everything they're doing at the moment. And on the other hand, the Swans, fumbles, missed kicks, poor hand passes, missing targets. And here they go again. They've got the ball up to half forward of the Swans. Cameron gets back, and with composure, he kicks it forward to Dent. Back to Cameron, running beautifully from the full-back, half-back area. Kicks it out wide into the pocket. Grant. Oh, was that a bit high? He did duck his head, but the umpire's given him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, Grant Vernon obviously believing, I think it's Grant Vernon obviously believing, no, Darren Goldspink obviously believing that he didn't contribute to the high contact, so awarded the free kick.
Let's see what happened to Jose. He went down.
He actually gets a punch in the midriff here by Mooney, and that certainly should have been paid as a free kick, but Darren Goldspink missed it.
Well, still the Bulldogs will go forward. They have possession of the ball around the middle of the ground. It was Cameron to Liberatore. Back to Dent. Dent out wide to Cox. Cox didn't mind kicking a goal a few minutes ago. Goes in short, and the mark is taken by Curley. And Curley, we believe, is on O'Loughlin. Now, where's O'Loughlin at this stage? In the full-back area, quite close to the defending goal square. Curley's kick, and well marked by Dunkley. Well done, Andrew Dunkley. Gee, they've been under siege. The Swans defenders. O'Loughlin to try and carry the ball away from the full-back line. Kicks it out to a one-on-one where Stafford got rid of Cox unfairly, according to the umpire, and the free kick is with the Bulldogs to be taken by Cox.
O'Loughlin's been shifted into defence. He's swapped with Luff. Curley now picking up Luff. And finally, some pressure from the Sydney Swans has created a turnover. That would be Rowan Smith's first blue for the afternoon, but I'm not sure the coach would be too upset.
Might be the Bulldogs' first blue, Gerard. Look at O'Loughlin. Terrible play. Back to Smith. Belts it back to Cook. He's got the run at it here. Dunkley front spot. Great mark. Sensational grab. What was Michael O'Loughlin thinking about at half-back?
Well, another critical error by the Swans. Under pressure, they just haven't stood up at the present time. They haven't coped with it at all. They came into the game with perhaps a little bit of a confidence loss. There's a great result there after a big kick from Rowan Smith.
Well, that's going to give Cook confidence, isn't it? Smith has been outstanding in the opening term.
Well, it's the length of his kick, isn't it? He doesn't kick the ball up in the air. He spears the ball down. And just have a look at this from Mickey O'Loughlin. He was just out of sorts there. And then, what a kick. It's got to have gone all of 55 metres. And Cook, who had the back spot, just a nice little bit of maintenance of position and a good grab and a good finish.
Terry Wallace, well, what a start for his team. They're only 1 point away from their best ever first quarter against the Swannies, and that was back in 1983, and they've got a minute and a half left to improve upon it. You'd reckon they would. So the kick comes from John Stevens up to half forward for Sydney. Now there's a free kick here. It's going the Bulldogs' way. Everything falling into place for the Bullies at the moment. It's going to be taken by Croft, who has the job on Lockett at the moment. And a little bit of holding there by Tony.
Very little bit.
Kick towards centre wing. Ellis. Grant has it punched away by Mooney. Still Mooney, got the ball over the boundary line in front of the members stand here. Grass down there a little bit wet, a lot of dew still on it, but elsewhere the MCG surface is in A1 condition. 50 plays 5, as I said, one behind shy of their best ever score against Sydney South Melbourne. That contest ineffectual, chance for West. Onto his left foot, loses a little bit of ground. Back it comes to Cameron. Cameron to half forward. Badly directed kick, but just into the forward pocket. Montgomery's hand pass missed the mark. Back to O'Brien. O'Brien's kick towards midfield. Big climb by Wine, the Brownlow medalist, down to West. And Carey's down. Liberatore. And Cox has already kicked a goal. Gone in short. Hudson. And that's Carey still on the ground as Hudson will take a shot at goal from the forward pocket.
Gee, a statistic there, Jared. Scotty Wine's punch was fantastic around the middle of the ground.
Yes, I think he may have taken out his opposition, ruckman, as well, which would be a double whammy.
For his 288th career goal, and the goal would be the Bulldogs' best ever opening quarter against Sydney South Melbourne. And he's got the goal. It is a record first quarter.
What timing by Hudson. What a quarter by the Bulldogs. They have blown the Swans out of the water and maybe out of the finals. There's a lot of footy to be played on this weekend. Listen to the sound around this ground.
Let's see what happened to Carey in the super slow-mo.
Yeah, it was just simply a big knee into the upper ribs, and he'd be pretty sore for the rest of the afternoon, you think, Stephen Carey, but they've got plenty to cheer about, the Bulldog supporters.
Can you believe it? 56-5 at quarter time.
I can't believe it, actually, Bruce.
Look at Rocket. So at quarter time of the Melbourne Cricket Ground, it's the Western Bulldogs 9-2, Sydney 5 behinds.
Much different too, Bruce, but Terry, what a magnificent start by the doggies there. And Peter, well, the first 8 minutes, you're in the game, weren't you?
I thought we were playing pretty good football. We missed a few easy goals, and after, say, the 10-15 minute mark, just Western Bulldogs overrun us.
And Rocket was just mentioning in the huddle there about second efforts. A lot of the guys look very flat.
Yeah, we do look flat, but sides have come back from a bigger deficit, so hopefully we can make amends later.
And Steve, it's been our run. It's really got the game going for us.
Yeah, the Bulldogs were just sensational, mopping up. We're just terrific. I hope the boys can keep going, and hopefully we will get the victory.
Come on, show us that colours, Terry. Our run, he reckons.
Start of the second quarter of the MCG. The second qualifying final. Bulldogs breaking a record in the opening term. A match still to be won, but they lead by over 50 points. West's first kick, nothing seems to have changed as the Bulldogs go forward in the second quarter.
Darren Creswell's trying to break the tag of Jose Romero by going straight on to Scotty West at the opening bounce.
Gee, Luke Darcy was just a little stiff there. I thought James Crook in position. Darcy not able to knock the ball clear.
Now Dyson picking up West and Creswell going on to Romero, so it must be just happening at the bounces.
And Troy Cook back on the ground for the Swans. Lewis handball to O'Brien, missed by Mooney. Mooney's handball didn't get to Dyson. West looked for a free kick. Montgomery, okay. Cameron was good early. He's kicked inside to Grant. It's all happening. Now Grant can kick to Darcy if he wants to. He will now. And look at this. Darcy's onto it. And that was always on. It was 20 seconds in the making, wasn't it? That's a long time in footy. Grant's been good. Darcy's been okay. Smith has been magnificent.
Gee, you'd be a severe critic if you found a poor Western Bulldogs player, wouldn't you, Bruce? Their teamwork is sensational.
Well, Darcy started the year, I think he kicked 11 goals in his first 4 matches. And since then, he struggled a bit, but he's a good kick for goal. And you'd back him from here. Good shot at the angle there as we come in close to him. Takes his time. This to give the Bulldogs their 10th goal of the match, and the Swans have not scored a major yet.
You would have got long odds on that happening, wouldn't you?
That, not even Terry Wallace would have dreamt that last night. He wouldn't have been game. Darcy from the pocket. Misses. So a behind after all of that, but 9-3 to 5 points. That first shot for goal, Pete, must be important for each and every player. Darcy just missing there. He probably should have got that.
You can say that again, Bruce. Confidence is everything in kicking for goal. Most of kicking for goal is up in the head.
O'Brien, as we saw it from the goalpost cam. Creswell, Mooney, Maxfield on his left foot. Curley in front. That was over the top. Lachlan trying to get into the match. Can he kick Sydney's first? It's a grubber. Luff runs onto it. Lock it on. They nearly collided. Luff from 15 out. Kicks. And at last, they've got their first goal. 2 minutes into the second quarter. Finally, Sydney breaking the duck. 1-5 to 9-3.
Well, they haven't been able to build a goal from out of a centre bounce. They lost the first one again this quarter, and another bad sign there for Mickey O'Loughlin. Just controlled the footy but couldn't get it onto his boot. But this one came from a kick out, so it's had to traverse the entire length of the ground. And finally the Swans break onto the scoreboard, and Troy Luff, well, an unlikely player to do it, I would have thought.
Stevens, Arnott, and looked like it might have been Shannon Grant still on the bench there for the Swans. Wine gets first touch, then hand passes wide. Not quite wide enough though. The umpire found a free kick. He has.
Free kick to Ramiro for a high tackle.
And the free kicks are about 7 or 8 to 1. Most of them obviously advantaging the Bulldogs. First in for the ball, controlling the footy and getting the advantages from the umpiring decisions. Ramiro's kick is high towards Rowan Smith. Punch to the front. Oh, tremendous courage by Cresswell. He's in a bit of strife. It was a tremendous attack at the footy there. Might have been Hudson that ran him down. Knocked forward by Johnson, not able to control. Dent, was it, Bruce? And oh, I tell you what, Darren Cresswell really suffered that crunch. We might get a chance here to have another look at this clash between Dent and Cresswell.
Yeah, no contact to the head, Robbo, so certainly contact on the shoulder. It didn't look as though there was contact above the shoulder for mine then.
Well, you would think he's a tough nut, Darren Cresswell, but
so is Dent.
Well, you'd have to think that he'd go to the bench, wouldn't you, just to recover his situation. Doesn't look as though he wants to. The umpire will have to restart play. There's Cresswell in the box, just favouring his left shoulder maybe. And with the help of the doctor, or the aid of the doctor, he looks as though he's heading towards the interchange bench.
He's had shoulder problems before, hasn't he?
Yes, he's...
the knee problems as well, so let's hope he's okay.
Dyson gathers. Handball over the top, chopped off by Ramiro. Scotty West missed what perhaps he should have taken. Dyson, out wider still, Grant. Harassed there by Liberatore. Liberatore looking for the free kick. Is he going to get it? No, Darren Goldsby quickly onto the scene, decides on a bounce. Luke Darcy, there's Cresswell, taking his place on the bench, replaced by Mark Orchard.
Sorry sight there for the Swans, with one of their key players in all sorts of trouble. Roos gets a kick away. Grant had to keep his eye on it. Cook gets hold of it. Run down by West. Play on called. West hard at it. Beats a couple away. Handball to Dent. Dent had Grant back to West. West harassed. Dyson's handball to Cook. Free kick coming back to Scott West. There's the box there with Creswell between Shannon Grant and Simon Arnott. Ramiro gets it in short. Goes to the pocket to Cook's got him. Right forward pocket, Dunkley seething at the back there. Couple of goals to Cook. Peter McKenna, how much more difficult is it for a right footer from the right forward pocket than it is from the left?
Well, it's a lot more difficult. It's because you're swinging away from the goals, and that's why it'll be a difficult kick. But it's one of the best games I've seen Cook play. Bruce, he's playing a really good team game, and this leading, instead of just blazing away, it's really creating problems for the Swans, because they've also got the high markers down there, the Bulldogs.
Just saw Creswell a moment ago, who looks in all sorts of trouble with his shoulder. Cook from the pocket, misses, scrapes it through for a behind. There's Creswell still.
Peter McKenna, Surprised that he didn't attempt the banana kick or the boomerang from that position. What would you have preferred?
Well, he always backs himself in, James Cook. You can bet on that. No, from there, I think he had to have a set shot. He's a bit too far out for the banana kick, Jared.
Kelly, Dent off the ground. Montgomery just outside 50. Well, he might get another chance here. Great use of the body. That'll be 50 anyway, you'd reckon.
Darren Goldspink's actually signalled a push.
Ooh,
paid for Swans.
Wow. That's certainly worth a second look.
What about reversing the free kick if that was the case for that one?
Yeah, you'd think that there would have been one against Roos for the second one, for sure, Jared. I agree with that.
Anyway, they bring it up towards midfield. Marking contest. O'Loughlin in front. Gets rid of his opponent. Time to steady. Creswell up and about. Croft. Shrugs one tackle off. Gets collected. Pretty quick kick towards the boundary line. And that'll be taken over. Craig Ellis. And we have more injuries. So the trainers of both clubs are busy.
James Cook it is, Pete.
He's okay. Yes, that's what he's telling the
He's a bit
trainers.
dazed myself.
The crowd certainly livened up.
He's dazed, no doubt. He's very groggy.
He's trying to work out the decision, I think.
Grant puzzled everybody.
And the free kick was given against him, would you believe, folks?
Hudson has also given away a free kick. Lewis to take it. Comes out to Nix. Nix at midfield. Shannon Grant. A free kick was paid. Advantage. Kelly and Liberatore. Lockett. Kelly tries to go off the ground. Kick comes out wide towards the pocket. Ellison Cox. Now there's a free kick here.
Well, in effect, though, it's too late for the rough stuff now from the Swans. They've basically gone the man in this last part of the quarter here as Cook comes off the ground. They'll be more unsure about that later in the week.
Blood rule now too, Jared. I think Scotty Wind or maybe Matthew Croft, but one of them's bleeding. Grant Vernon signalling blood. So who is it? Who is it? Brian Sheen running over to Libber. So it's obviously Libber.
Johnny, that incident was shown on the big screen here, and the crowd, when they saw it, gee, there was just an absolute roar from the fans as they saw what happened.
Brian Sheen doesn't know who's been ordered off with the blood rule and asking Grant Vernon who it is. And it doesn't look as though anybody's bleeding, so we go back and start all over again. There really is, it's a bit of spite in it now. I think the umpires have probably lost it a bit, so they've got to really pull a tight rein.
So Wine goes wide towards the member stand. Number 11s, and the winner of the duel is Maxfield over Curley. Takes a strong mark.
Well done by Maxfield. He kicks it forward. It'll drop in short. Nearly the mark taken by Lewis. In goes O'Loughlin. Swan's second goal coming up. Kicked by Michael O'Loughlin. All clear.
Free kick paid. Free kick was paid to Dale Lewis, and the advantage was called by Grant Vernon, and O'Loughlin was able to kick the goal.
Well, it's a pretty important time now for both clubs. At flashpoint the game, the Bulldogs, you would think, would go on to win this unless something extraordinary happened, but there's a head-high tackle there. The Swans just starting to work their way in a little bit. Their confidence will be starting to come up, but they've lost Creswell, you'd think, for a couple of weeks. Danger time. They don't want to lose players on suspension.
Well, the Swans faced a 51-point deficit at quarter time. They've kicked the only 2 goals of the second quarter so far.
So West out of the centre. There's a lot happening here at the moment. It is a moment, a window of opportunity for the Swans. Mooney to Carey. They can't make mistakes. He should have taken the mark. He does get it to Grant. Not sure how he did. Grant off one leg to full forward. Lockett's at the back. Croft at the front. O'Loughlin looked to shark it. Taken by Cox, who's been good. Comes away. They've just got to keep their heads here, the Bulldogs. They've got a terrific lead. They've got to just keep playing footy. Ellis to Ramiro. Orchard was that a free kick to Jose. Play on called. Roos's handball was clever. To Dyson. To Orchard. Centering kick good. To Carey. Should use the run of Luff. He does. Luff at 60. Here's James Cook about to come back. Lockett's on the lead. Doesn't make it. Cook's got it. That's Troy. Drops the footy. No free kick. Oh, in very hard was Kelly. Livers away. And so are the Doggies.
Well, what a quarter of football. Johnson shows Barry a clean pair of heels. Hudson can't take it. And the ball taken over the line for the Swans. by Matthew Nix. Down to Dipper, and the trainer's working overtime, Dip.
Yeah, not wrong, Peter, but Cook's about to come on. The doctor's very happy about Cook for the Western Bulldogs to come back on the ground. Creswell's been taken off the ground and into the rooms with the doctor. They did give him a couple of painkillers while he was on the bench, but don't expect to see him come back on the ground.
Thanks, Dipper. Carey in front. Nix tries to spin out of trouble. Opportunity there, holding the ball.
Yeah, look, he went to the ground with the ball and then tackled legally, so there is an obligation on him to then punch the ball clear quickly, and he didn't do so.
Johnson decides to play on. Kicks just inside 50. Not a bad kick. Oh, it's a great kick. It's a goal. The Bullies can do no wrong.
I think that was important, that the Western Bulldogs did answer the 2 goals from the Swans with a goal from Johnson.
Nix thought he was legged there, which was interesting. He appealed to the umpire, but the previous incident, just a fantastic goal, though. To get momentum, Gerard, from nowhere, really, Johnson.
Yeah, exciting. We mentioned him at the start of the game that he can kick goals like this, and he really has had a pretty important day. As the Bulldog, the young Bulldog star, with 7 kicks and 4 handballs. He's been a real factor in this avalanche.
Well, from up high, the Whitman's lightship gave you an idea of the centre bounce here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Dyson not able to get through. Craig Ellis standing tall. Dyson still struggling against the opposition of Liberatore's fierce tackle. Just like the little Bulldog, Tony Liberatore, and we look at Tony Lockett and Scotty Wind earlier. Bang! Bounce back at the centre. Good ruck work there by Darcy. Kelly kicks it forward. The mark is taken by Maxfield. Away to Lewis, quickly tackled. The Bullies go away again. Terrific tackling. Effective, fierce, quick. And the kick by West will find Darcy. He's not quite up to centre half forward, Luke Darcy. Kicks it out wide. Ramiro, will it bounce in his favour? It won't. Gee, crude effort by O'Brien. Montgomery is down.
Throw paid.
Orchard. What's happened, Johnny?
Incorrect disposal paid against Montgomery, I suspect.
And he's in trouble. 2 Footscray players, 2 Bulldog players in strife. Montgomery.
This was a great tackle by Craig O'Brien. He really did poleaxe Jose Ramiro, who looks to have a problem with his left shoulder, maybe his forearm, but on Montgomery, have a look at this for a great tackle. Spears him into the ground, legally, of course. Good turnover.
Kick forward. Cox is in good position, knocks it to the front. Kicked away by Johnson. Gathered by O'Brien. Dyson has the footy. Handball to Mooney. In trouble behind players. Ramiro being attended to by the trainers. Attempted punch away by Wind. Gatherers by Crediuk. Just throws it on his boot. Not too bad either. Out in the area of Johnson. Plays it to his own favour. Gathered by Cameron, who supported him brilliantly. Leon Cameron has been a key player. He kicks it down the ground, and the mark is taken out there by Chris Grant. Leon Cameron has had 8 kicks and 3 hand passes and has mopped up beautifully. And the stretcher, we believe, is on the ground. You can see in the box there, Jose Ramiro. Well, that's bad luck for the Bulldogs. Ramiro, 4 kicks, 3 hand passes, and 3 effective tackles, and will go off the ground.
And this is what's happened to him. Geez, it looked quite awkward. Didn't look as if it would result in that situation, but maybe he's even dislocated.
I think he jumped over the top of Orchard just after that too.
And I think that's when he hurt himself.
Yeah.
Well, they play such a physical brand of football, the Bulldogs. It's quite incredible. It's not surprising they lose players. They've lost 3 on report because they attacked the footy, and they've even attacked the man in questionable circumstances and lost a couple. But the way they're going to be well and truly down on a couple of players through injury following a very physical attack on the football in this match.
Stafford went off, replaced by John Stevens.
So straight down to the dressing rooms for Ramiro. Di Martina's on a 2-match suspension. Collinwood can come back next week. So can Daniel Southern. There's Terry Wallace. The score 10-4 to 2-5.
In the context of the match, though, both Ramiro and Creswell were playing on each other, maybe neutralising themselves a little bit. Ramiro probably shading Creswell a little bit, but neither player will come back onto the arena, one suspects. I would suggest that Creswell's got an AC joint that'll keep him out for somewhere between 0 and 4 weeks. but he would be unlikely for this match.
Kick by Grant to centre half forward, missed by Darcy. Montgomery spins out of trouble, great, smothered by O'Loughlin. I think Swans fans around Australia are saying, why didn't we start like this? Roos caught high, free kick. I think this is the contest we expected right from the start. It's going to have to go back to Roos. So just checking on the injury situation. Creswell unlikely to come back again. Ramiro taken straight from the ground. Here's the free kick. Gee, that's high by Montgomery. There has been some careless tackling, hasn't there, from both sides here today. Orchard taking on James Cook very cheekily and not very effectively, and putting his man under great pressure there in Shannon Grant, who hasn't been able to touch it yet. Dipper, what about that growing list of injuries?
Yes, it's a long list at the moment, Bruce. We saw Jose come off the ground with a dislocated shoulder, so that is bad news for him. You know, at least 4 or 5 weeks there.
Okay, Mooney and Darcy. Grant pushing forward. Dale Lewis missed by Shannon Grant. Taken by Nathan Brown. Handball was okay to Rowan Smith, who did all the damage in the first quarter. Goes back. Credihook 50 out. Measures a kick, pushes it away. It's a behind. But the important thing for the Bulldogs is that they've steadied the ship and they're now back on top. It's 10-5 to 2-5.
And just past the halfway mark of the second quarter, Shannon Grant started on the bench. He's a better player than that. But as Bruce said, hasn't really been able to get a handle on the footy. Lewis marks in front of Cameron. The latter also a designated kicker. Lewis to Nix in front of Brown, who's had a haircut. He's got rid of the ponytail. Luff gets an awkward half volley. Orchard, another fumble. Oh, another bad hand pass. Well, you sort of get the impression it's just not Sydney's day today. West applies a tackle. Ball stood in that mess in there. Now Curley. Oh, there's about 14 Bulldogs. There's a whole kettle full. Oh, Cook gets poleaxed by two Sydney players. Nix was one of them. Dunkley was the other. And the ball up will be 30 metres out directly in front of goal. So the Sydney players deciding to meet fire with fire. 65 plays 17. That's their number one ruckman, Stafford, who left the ground to be replaced just a few moments back. And Cook still limping, I think, from that second tackle. Brown, Morris medal winner. Curley, lovely balk around Lewis. And then Mooney finally comes at him to smother the kick. And it's all tied up again. I think this is the quarter we expected initially. Not in the first quarter. Much more pressure by Sydney. Smith, does he look a little bit proppy? Lewis on his own. Still on his own. Kick out wide. Carey. Around Wine, who's copped a couple himself. Luff and Ellis. Kelly. Kelly just inside 50. A little bit too far for Plugger. He really had to stretch the groin there and gets the Bronx cheer from the Bulldog fans. It's out of bounds in the forward pocket.
Big Plugger. He's a big man, isn't he? Peter McKenna, what do you think of the game so far?
Well, I think Tony Lockett's totally frustrated. The kicking to the Swans forward line has been absolutely abysmal and he is getting really annoyed.
Yes, he can become quite frustrated, you would think. Opportunities very limited for Tony Lockett. Just 2 kicks, 1 mark, and he's kicked 2 behinds.
James Cook limps off the ground. Just further to the comment on Tony Lockett, it's sometimes when you are frustrated, you've got to realise that they may well be playing again next week and not do something that's going to drag the attention of the umpire.
Well, Scotty West continues to get possessions, but this time it's chopped off by Stevens. Hand pass to Cook. Cook's kick is wide and ugly. Very ugly in the finish. Missed everything. So no score. 48 points is the margin. An 8-goal game in favour of the Bulldogs. And Croft has the football in the left back pocket. Kicks it out towards half-back area. Gathered by Dyson. Probably could have nearly tapped that on. Well done there by Lewis. Lewis to Maxfield.
And could have used Luff, couldn't he, Gerard? I know you were pointing over there. Luff all on his own a moment ago. And Maxfield blazing and missing for a behind.
Yeah, one of the problems you have when you do come into a game expecting to be in with a chance at half-time and getting absolutely thumped is that individuals try to do that all by themselves. You've still got to maintain some sort of focus on the team plan. you've still got to utilise your teammates, and in doing so, you can slowly and surely build confidence.
It's a good kick by Cameron to Nathan Brown, to Dent. Handball was strong to Libba. Libba uses Cameron again, who was the designated kicker. His kick wide is very good to Ellis and Grant out there. Ellis onto it, Grant's with him. Grant just to pave the way with maybe a half a shepherd. Then Ellis coming inside to centre half forward. Hudson outnumbered. Good mark. Lewis at the back had the run of it, one to play on. Grant onto him. Now Lewis comes away, kicks the ball wide to Maxfield. Has to wait, gets him. Was keen to get on with it, gives it to Roos. Roos caught. Not often you see that. Scoops it up, throw, or holding the footy.
Holding the footy paid then, Bruce.
Curley's got it for the Bulldogs. Nobody on the mark. Confusion reigning. Kicks to Grant. Works to the front. Too good. Much too good for Mooney. Turned him inside out literally and took the mark. Dunkley coming in might have hurt his wrist by the look of it. Or thumb maybe. Gee, Grant here, Jerry, just his nous was too good, wasn't it?
Yes, he was. I think the other two players were looking for him. He was looking for the football. That gives you a clear advantage. Dunkley there just gasping in pain. We'll have a look at him coming down to the ground. He's on. Oh, yes, that may well be a serious injury to that wrist or forearm.
Good view here of Chris Grant. Ooh, champion from the Western Bulldogs. Kicked 1 goal in the opening term. This to get the margin right out again to about what it was at quarter time. So Grant from 35 metres out, not much of an angle, perfect. I didn't really think we'd be saying this, but the Bulldogs are too classy right now. 11 goals to 2.
Yeah, you try and find a winner for the Swans, and it's pretty tough. Paul Roos has done quite a good job across the back line. We'll have another look at the Dunkley injury. It comes right at the end of this little passage. Watch Mooney come through and crunch onto that wrist. He's probably fortunate he's got a guard there. It may well have saved him a more severe injury. A good goal to Chris Grant.
311 career goals now to Grant. 11-5 to 2-6, just over 5 minutes left of the half. And the other 6 sides will be lapping this up with the injuries that these two teams seem to be getting. Cameron's kick out of the centre. Once again, the Bullies win it away from the circle, as they've done right from the first bounce. Grant at centre wing. Martin just on the ground takes the mark. Goes in short for Hudson. The angle was fairly acute, but the pass was okay. Played in Hawthorn's 91 premiership side. He looked a little bit different then. He had long blonde locks. Terry Wheeler will be on the phone. I think that was Johnson, was it, taking a message?
Yes.
Terry Wallace.
Terry Wallace. Terry's coaching from the boundary. Hudson from the boundary himself. Kicks. That's pretty good. You've dobbed it, Hutto.
I'll tell you what, he's not bad, is he? Doesn't get a lot of possessions, but by geez, dangerous around that 40 metres, 35 metres.
5 Bulldogs players have now kicked 2 goals. Hudson, the last of them, 4.5 minutes to half-time.
Once again, Pete, you described it pretty accurately. The Bulldogs just giving the Swans a real bath in the middle of the ground, taking away from the centre bouncers. Stafford's come back onto the ground. And Robert Di Domenico, you've got an update on James Cook.
Yes, Jerry, he came off the ground with the limp, but it's not that which has kept him off the ground. He's actually got blurred vision. He's actually talking to himself about where he's going tonight. So don't expect him to be back on the ground.
Well, they're going to go forward again, Dipper. One of your comrades, Tony Liberatore, forced it forward. Chance now for the Bulldogs. Montgomery, left foot kick, discipline to the front of the square. Well marked back there by Dunkley. He looks as though he may have recovered. Gee, that's an indiscretion, isn't it?
50-metre penalty there, Notto.
Did he actually stand on the Swans player, Johnny, did you think there? Standing
I think
on
it's,
yes.
well, certainly looks a bit crude.
You get stats for that?
Well, it was against Paul Hudson. Maybe he didn't mean it, but Stevens has the football for Sydney. He kicks the ball in the Lockett direction. Wind has been quite magnificent, getting back to plug up the gap. And standing tall, Maxfield and Curley, Martin and Cook. still there as Dent takes it over and has a bit of a look at who the Swans player was there in Stuart Maxfield. And the Swans fans haven't had much to cheer about. They've managed just 2 goals 6. We're pretty close now to half-time. A lot of time being taken up by injuries to plenty of players in this second quarter as Croft and Lockett go over with the footy. Boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Swans.
In round 17, Croft kept Tony Lockett to 4 goals to 3/4 time, and then when the game was blown apart, Big Plugger kicked 4 in the last quarter to finish with 8. But right at this stage, he hasn't had much to do. The ball hasn't been down that often, but he's got him goalless at present.
Well, they've scored a behind, albeit a rushed one.
What about the half-back line of the Bulldogs? A couple of unsung heroes down there. Todd Curley has been quite superb. Craig Ellis also doing well. And Leon Cameron, who's now playing on Dale Lewis, has kicked off beautifully, and he has been one of the real architects in the first half.
51 points was the lead for the Western Bulldogs in the first quarter. At quarter time, they lead presently by 58 as Cameron kicks the ball to himself and then wide. The mark is taken by Roos. It has been paid. So Paul Roos gallantly striving to get the Swans forward.
We saw Brad Johnson come off and talk to Terry Wallace. Well, he's gone back onto the ground now, playing full forward. Bunch of Specs in much a similar role to Rowan Smith in the early part of the game.
Cox unlucky not to be paid there. Seemed to have a fair bit of it.
Well, well, it certainly seemed like a Mark 1 firm grab would normally be paid and knocked to the ground moments later. Certainly required some action from the umpire, but nothing happened.
Stephen Carey now on Chris Grant. So the Swans' on-field structure is nothing like what they would have planned for all week.
And Libba just continuing to gob off there with Paul Kelly. Well, that's a mark, isn't it?
Yeah, and Paul Kelly certainly made no effort at all to look at the footy, just ran straight at the player.
Lewis's kick round the corner, pretty good. It's a goal from nowhere. Well, sorry about the lack of build-up, but it just sort of came out of the blue. 12 goals to 3. Lewis getting the goal, but boy, Cox not being paid, and the Swans benefit from that.
Yeah, it was just a smart handball that set it up. A bit of a mongrel punt, but they all count if they go through the big ones.
Well, Dale Lewis, a badly needed goal for the Swans, their third.
52 points the difference. It was 51 at quarter time. Dale Lewis kicking the Swans' third goal over the head of O'Loughlin. Now Martin, Cameron, who's been good. Great hand pass, Crediuk. Had a shot at goal before. Arnott comes at him late. Stevens underneath it. Shannon Grant kicks towards what will be a foot race. Martin takes the option to get it away from O'Loughlin, sees the boundary line and gets it successfully.
And Peter McKenna, Andrew Dunkley, a great player in a man-on-man battle with a marking player, but Terry Wallace obviously trying to exploit him with some quicker players.
Coaching has been outstanding down that end of the ground. Down the other end, they're finding it hard to get to Lockett because of Wine backing back, because of their dominance midfield. It's allowing Wine to get back there, Gerard.
Martin again to Curley. Martin's been okay since he came on.
So's Curley.
Not well directed. Dunkley, amazingly, didn't break the wrist in that skirmish before. He gets it to O'Brien. O'Brien and O'Loughlin marks this time in front of Curley, just short of left centre wing.
Yes, O'Loughlin just 6 kicks coming up for his 7th kick. He has kicked a goal for the Swans. The kick to half forward, close to the line. Stevens takes it over.
The problem with the possessions of Mickey O'Loughlin is that none of them have resulted in Tony Lockett getting a shot on the goal, and that's one of his great advantages. As we have a look at the centre breaks, just a total domination by the Bulldogs. O'Loughlin doesn't kick a lot of goals, but he sets up Lockett with plenty.
G. Liberatore still causing problems for Kelly. Kelly drops the mark. He's had 7 possessions. That's a good effort there by Mooney on Scott West. Kelly 7 possessions. Liberatore's had 6. 5 effective tackles to the Western Bulldogs terrier, Tony Liberatore.
That is a cross. A Bulldog and a terrier.
He's it. He's everything. He's a pest as well, Gerard. By Darren Goldspink bounces. It favours Mooney. Good smother by Darcy. Kicked away there by Dent too far. It's out on the full. So the free kick will be taken out there for the Swans. It's Roos. Gee, covers some territory. Orchard approaching 50, kicks it inside that area. Mongrel kick on the end of the Stafford. Terrible kick, but fortunately for the Swans, Greg Stafford was in the right place at the right time, and he'll kick from about 40 metres.
Well, stranger things have happened in football that you couldn't count the Swans out. We've seen a number of big leads that diminished throughout the season. But you think there's a window of opportunity here. They've got to get this one and maybe one or two more.
Oh, good kick by Stafford. It's a goal to the Swans, their fourth. They just can't quite seem to make any inroads into the 51-point lead that the Bulldogs had at quarter time. 9-2 to 5 behinds it was at that stage. Presently 12-5 to 4-7.
Well, they've got themselves an opportunity to win the ball out of the middle here and take it down very quickly. They'll only have 2 or 3 kicks in it. About 10 seconds left on the quarter. But they always wanted Stafford to go forward and to become a target to try and drag Scotty Wind out, but it's taken until late in the match for it to be successful.
Late in this first half, Stafford, O'Loughlin, Dyson need a quick mark or something. Kelly, clever, well played Elliso to cut it off. Credial, and the siren sounds for half-time. The one thing, Jared, that might come out of it for Sydney is they kicked the last 2 goals of the first half. That quarter, by the way, went for 33 minutes. It's 12-5, 4-7, but the Swannies, Terry Wallace must be absolutely delighted with the position he's in, but the Swannies did get the last 2 goals of the first half.
And that'll be about the one positive that Rocket Eade will take into the long break. The Bulldogs have had all the momentum. They've got their confidence really pumping up. They're working hard for each other. As Tony Lockett just wanders off the ground at half-time along with Rodney Eade, the coach, and they'd be thinking to themselves, well, all we've got to do now is go back to basics. They'll probably put themselves back in their starting lineup. They won't be able to do anything other than hope to just outscore the Bulldogs in this quarter and give themselves a chance to come home with a flurry in the final term. But you can't help but admire this Western Bulldogs side. They got hit hard at the tribunal during the week with Daniel Southern on in picture getting rubbed out in unusual circumstances for wrestling. There's been a bit of that out there today, but they have just had too many winners on the forward line. Chris Grant, number 3. Luke Darcy, number 14. Number 18, Leon Cameron's been excellent in the middle. Young Brown, number 17, hasn't had much of it, but together as one, they'll go down a very confident group of players. In the other side, Rodney Eade will be looking to pull the proverbial rabbit out of the hat.
So at half-time here at the MCG, the Doggies are 12-5. The Swans
go in with about an 8-goal lead. I don't think the Swans can peg us back, Dipper.
And any major moves on the ground, like Dale Lewis in the middle or something?
Yeah, well, he wants Louis, all the main playmakers of the Swans in the ground, so yeah, that's what he's mainly doing.
Back to you, Bruce.
Lewis has kicked a full forward. Lockett front spot, positioned himself well. Croft did a pretty good job at the back. Lockett unable to hold it. Back to Croft, breaks the tackle. In trouble now. Gone, holding it. Free kick for the Swans. The start they needed here. Quickly, Jared, your scenario here. We've heard Terry Wallace, we've heard Pete Philandia, and also Steve Collingham.
Oh, I think Rodney Eade summed it up pretty well. The only thing they can do is to think positively, try and win this quarter by 2 or 3 goals and give themselves a chance at 3/4 time. But if the Bulldogs do just keep on kicking goals, they're going to find that tough.
Well, an important kick for Luff here. About 40 metres out. They need the goal. They did kick the last 2 before half-time, remember. Luff goes for it. It looks good. It's the start they needed. Luff scores the opening goal after half-time, his second. And it's a surprising stat, but Sydney has kicked the last 3 goals of the match.
And they won that one out of the middle convincingly. It was Dale Lewis, and that's a positive move because it was one that they would have talked about at half-time. Good tackling there by the Swans. Croft took them on. Lockett dragged him down, and a good finish there by Luff, who was also involved in the tackle. But 1 goal isn't enough. They need to get 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then play some scoreboard pressure on the Bulldogs and see what happens to their disposal.
Back to 40 points the difference. Luff, Sydney's only multiple goal kicker. Dyson dispossessed. No free kick. The umpire says play on O'Brien. Will O'Brien kicks towards centre half forward. 2-on-2 duel. Kelly, can he get clear of Credial? He did momentarily. Beautifully played. Oh, gets collared. Poleaxed. Too high, says the umpire. Free kick.
And this is how momentum builds. You get a lucky free kick. He was probably a little bit fortunate there, Kelly. The second one was clearly high. But if he can put this through or somebody gets on the end of it, you'll see Liberatore in tight there.
Too high there.
And then Mark West just going with the strangulation hold. And that clearly, John, is against the rules.
Yeah, Mark West's arm over the shoulder clearly infringed.
Well, can they get this one? 40 points the difference at the moment. It would give them a little bit of a sniff. Not with a kick like that, that's an odour. West gets met heavily. Umpire Brian Sheehan's found a free kick, and it's going to the Bullies.
High tackle to Johnson, Pete.
Johnson from full back. Dent calling for it. He was brilliant in the first quarter, had 6 kicks.
Now they need to kick the goal, the Swans. That would have been quite debilitating as far as confidence was concerned when the skipper has a shocker like that. So they've got to rebound and get another one quickly to keep the momentum going.
He's gone to the outer side. Good move. Darcy takes the strong grab at left half back. Sure hands.
First mark for Darcy.
And Jose coming around towards the interchange bench. Now Cameron from Ellis, the two lookalikes. Grant at the back, that's a mark. He's been paid good use of the body on Carey. Just nudged him out. Montgomery breaks a lead. Dunkley's got him covered. Grant looking for options. The eyes are busy, aren't they? He knows he's too far out to score.
The Swans have got extra players in defence. He'll probably kick it to the top of the square.
Kick number 9 for Grant, which he does. Montgomery, big climb! Not a mark, according to the umpire. Lewis gets Sydney out of danger. O'Brien.
Lewis 12 possessions, out wide to Craig O'Brien, back inboard, in trouble Nix, spins out of trouble, gets the hand pass back. This is Stevens for the Swans. Torpedo, wobbly punt kick to half forward. They've got a chance here. They outnumber the opposition. Stafford, back to Mooney. Mooney assesses and then kicks poorly. Back goes Dent, shrugs the tackle. Poor hand pass, puts Croft under a little bit of pressure. He's able to assess and then kick it wide, and Darcy will settle the Bullies down. Darcy's kick into the full forward area. Grant turns his opponent inside out, gets away from Roos. Handball to Mark West. Not good enough. O'Loughlin back, misses his target. Cox misses his target. Back goes Curley. O'Loughlin the tackler. Smith tackle. Ball spills for Stevens again. To Nix. In turn to Roos. The pressure has just lifted a little. The intensity is there. The kick goes wide. And Darcy takes his second mark within a minute. Goes in short. Taken by Liberatore. Liberatore's kick. Punched away by the Swans' defence. Gathered by Cox. He's beautifully tackled. The ball is held up. Roos was the tackler. It was very effective and has helped the Swans out with at least the bounce of the ball about 25 metres out.
Well, the pure, silky, smooth skills of the Swans of the middle of the season really have deserted them. Their kicking has been appalling in this opening term. Opening minutes of this third term, I should say.
Lewis's kick out wide, missing the mark. Pete McKenna, this throw-in is not far from where you are right now. Your thoughts early in this third quarter?
Well, I think that the Swans are just hanging on desperately here in defence. The Bulldogs, with Cook off the ground, have gone with Montgomery as the leading forward in place of Smith, but they've still got the high markers in Darcy and Grant and Cox.
Dyson pushes forward to Stevens, who can really run, and he's going to take West on. One bounce, then on the right foot, not bad to Luff. Well done, though, coming in from the side by the Doggies. A couple of Swannies over the ball. Kelly tries to get it forward. Credihook with him. Credihook plays it to the boundary line. Maxfield with him, boundary throw in. There's a bit going on behind Plants at half forward here with Luff and also Dent. Well, those lookalikes, aren't they?
They regarded Matthew Dent as the toughest player at Fitzroy last season, and he's been a great pickup by the Bulldogs.
Stafford and Wine. Just having a look at Luff and Cox for a moment as the ball's thrown in. Really important part of the match here. 12 goals to 5. Doggies finding it hard to score. Here's the blue behind the play. Luff, Dent, Kelly, and then Luff and Dent. Luffy a bit unhappy with a couple of things. Dent getting involved. And again, a boundary thrown. So this is a very important 4 or 5 minutes.
I think in wrestling term, that was a step over toe hold. Martin, Liberatore, Cameron. Oh, good kick. Long to West, and he marks it beautifully just inside the line ahead of O'Brien.
17 possessions to Cameron.
It's been the difference between the two sides, their disposal. Grant, little nudge again. Can't complete the mark. Shannon Grant. Paddles to the boundary line. Hudson looks for a free kick. The two number 9s figuring in the action, but it won't be. It will be a throw-in. Still 40 points the difference, so the Swans have pegged back 11 since quarter time. By the time we get to midnight, they might hit the lead. And James Cook about to come back on. Let's hope he's 100% fit. He was great in the first quarter. Stevens, Martin underneath it. Awkward one. Barry around Crediuk. Measures the kick. Who's it to? Luff picks it up quickly. He's kicked 2 already. Plugger, yes, on the lead. And I think Peter McKenna, you would have loved to have been on the end of that one.
Well, that's typical Lockett. He hasn't had many chances on the lead. Croft has been with him, and they've been under pressure all day, Pete. But that's the first time he's been able to get clear and get a very good pass straight at him. And this is when Lockett's at his best, and he's normally dead-eye from this distance.
And Pete, what about this distance and angle? Is this a soda for a top-class full forward?
Well, for a guy like Lockett, you'd back it. Look, I'd like him kicking for my life. That's for sure, Tony Lockett.
Probably isn't as accurate as he was a few years ago. The groin injury he's had has affected his kicking, I think, a little. Let's see what he does here. Oh, gee. He's missed.
Rest in peace, Peter McKenna.
Well, they really did need that one if they were going to have a chance, you'd reckon. 3 behinds to Tony Lockett, 2 in the first quarter. Cameron kicks in.
Kicks in quickly, finds Dent. Dent can go down the ground. Position made nicely by Crediuk. Crediuk's kick. Gathered by Liberatore. Oh, he's well tackled. Was that too high against Cook? Lachlan, rather. Maybe the advantage. Curley. Johnson. Johnson still. Johnson. He'll have a shot, won't he? Try the reverse punt kick. No, he did try it. Missed everything across the face of goal.
Robbo, Darren Goldsmith did pay the high tackle to Liberatore and then call play under advantage immediately after it.
Shannon Grant in the right back pocket for the Swans. Kicks long. Well done by Ellis. Just made the football his target. Knocked it away from Mooney for a boundary throw-in. 77 plays 38. Halfway through the third quarter. 51 points was the advantage for the Bulldogs at quarter time. It's been pegged back by the Swans to the extent of 12 points so far. But they still trail by 39, do the Swannies. Darcy. Ellis leaves it behind. Tries to get it clear. Does so to West. West in turn to Hudson. Hudson, well done, Darcy. Darcy quickly, magnificently to Cameron. Cameron, long kick by Cameron. Oh, gee whiz, he was nearly onto it. It's taken away by Grant. 2 Bulldog players behind the scenes there. You can see both grimacing. The marking contest, it was Grant. It might have been Rowan Smith.
Montgomery.
Grant is certainly limping.
Good mark, Stafford. Plays on from centre wing. Centering kick. There's another Bulldog player behind play in the box at the moment. It's Montgomery. Roos looking for a free kick. He looks as if he might have caught one as the play goes on. Going to have a lot of set of eyes here today. There's so much happening. Orchard about 60 metres out. Centres to Lewis. Not a good kick. And West gets the mark and plays on. So the disposal for the Swans letting them down. We see Montgomery back on his feet. No free kick paid there either. Shannon Grant, normally a good kick. Centering ball. Swans have got numbers everywhere here. Surely they can use it. Stafford lumbers away. Kicks long and hard. Lockett sets himself. Wind at the back. Liver again. What a game he's playing. Belts it back to the centre. Johnson in hard. Keeps his eye on the footy. It's been a terrific play today. Still going. Luff in trouble. Curley. O'Loughlin's got him. West back turn okay. Comes back to Johnson. Johnson at centre wing.
Johnson kicks 25 metres downfield. Needed to be accurate. There was a player on his own. It was Montgomery, who, as we just saw, was in the hands of the trainers. He's still limping, but the kick wasn't good enough. Let's see what the injury was.
And I think you'll find Montgomery's on his own because he's hobbling off to the interchange bench.
And that's another terrible kick. And that is at midfield. Back live play continues. A stack up on centre wing. I'll tell you what, these two sides would have trouble putting a team on the field next week the way these injuries are going.
Peter, it's been 20 minutes actually since their last goal. It was a 33-minute quarter. This quarter's been going 12 minutes, so it has been 20 minutes as we see Montgomery coming off since the Doggies kicked a goal.
Well, Sydney need a few. You sort of get the feeling that they've got a little bit of momentum up, but they can't score the majors. West, good hand pass to his namesake, Scotty West. Cameron, who's been good. Cameron at right centre wing. Oh, great pass. As I said before, the difference is the disposal. And again, Peter McKenna, you'd like to be on the end of those.
Yes, it's the difference in the two sides. You called it that, Pete. And Cook has been very impressive at full forward. He's just leading all the time. He can take a mark, and he is a very long and accurate kick. And Lockett might rue the one he missed down the other end. And I almost lost my life betting on him. 3 behinds to Lockett.
Set the resuscitator over for you, Pete. They're lining up to give you the kiss of life.
James Cook has kicked 2 goals too, so he's had 4 effective shots. Lockett's had 3 effective, but Cook's the only goal kicker between them. 2 goals, 2.
It would have to be Leon Cameron's best game for the season. 6 weeks ago, he looked as if he was just plodding along, and he may have an injury according to Terry Wheeler.
That's close, but not close enough. Grant takes the big mark, but behind the line. Or is he? No,
push paid.
Dunkley, Roos going back to Dunkley. He'll take the free kick literally in the last line of defence.
Yes, Andrew Dunkley for the Swans. They certainly need a succession of goals. Wobbly old punt kick out wide, taken by Darcy. A little bit too high. Maybe he meant it. Just absolutely clean bowled Todd Curley. He's able to gather, then kicks it in short. James Cook had a set shot a moment ago. Curley, left foot snap by Todd Curley. Put it down. No, you don't, because he's missed. Gee, that would have brought the Bulldog fans to their feet. 78 plays 38. A margin of 40 points. Craig O'Brien to kick in for the Swans. Goes to the far side of the ground. Mark paid to Darcy. Good hands on that.
Well, Craig O'Brien's doing a good job in defence, kicking the ball out, but every time the ball goes into the Swans' attacking area, they've got nobody like an O'Brien at the feet of Tony Lockett.
Gee, Cameron's kick was a beauty. Looked for nearly found Martin. Away goes Maxfield. Lovely long hand pass. Sets it up for Stevens. Important kick here by Stevens. They must get a goal out of this, the Swans, you would think, if they're to win this game. To the full forward line. It may come bounding back. Crediuk well tackled. Kick by Arnott. High. Across his left shoulder. Croft does well and knocks it clear for a boundary throw-in.
There's a bit of sameness about the Swans' full forward line. Leo Barry and Troy Luff they're not crummers, are they, Robbo? And Tony Lockett, well, he's always going to be the focal point. As Dennis Pagan is on screen there with one of your mates, Bruce, the Commissioner, Mike Sheehan.
Gets around that, Mike, doesn't he?
He's always around coaches.
See a bit of a change in the centre breaks there. A high ball there by Brad Johnson. Arnott, well done by Cameron. Barry couldn't get the reflex handball. Scott West, beautifully done. They've worked this well. Cameron's handball was a beauty. And they're away through Crediuk, the Dogs to centre wing. Grant read it well at the back. On hands and knees. Hudson, not many touches, have all counted so far. One bounce. He'll work inside. Beautiful kick. Superb to Curley. Just look at Hudson. He's had 5 kicks. He's kicked 2 goals. Another one went to Cook in the goal square for a goal, and this one's got to Curley.
Well, what Paul Hudson does is gets full value for his kicks. Well, when he does, he's one of their best players. His disposal is first class. He knew exactly where Todd Curley was. Michael O'Loughlin 25 metres behind. And Todd Curley could have put the last one down as a goal. He gets another chance a couple of minutes later.
Well, believe it or not, it's been 25 minutes since the Doggies have scored a goal here, and yet they lead by 7. And Curley has missed again. So they really should have buried the Swans in the last 5 minutes, and they haven't quite done it. There's still a little breathing space. Peter, you've got a good view, Peter. We were watching Curley a moment ago going for a mark. There's no problems at all. That was O'Loughlin's good play. No problems at all with any breeze down there, is there?
No, he just didn't kick through that ball, Bruce. He only took a couple of paces, should have gone back another 5 metres. So it's just a poor kick.
O'Brien to Lewis. Well, gee, that was a poor kick too. They're going to get out of it, Sydney, because he's got a free kick. Dale Lewis off the left. Grant over the top. Didn't come up with a footy. Cameron again. Doggy's trying to set something up, but O'Loughlin's in the road, and they'll tie it up on centre wing. Ball up with 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter. And Sydney have had a lot of the play in this term. We saw the centre breaks. They're at last on top in that stat for this quarter, but they haven't been able to convert on the scoreboard. Liver 3 and 7, but he's done the job on Kelly, whose stats are only 7 and 2. Roos, clean possession. Spiral punt kick towards centre half forward. Nearly a mark there to Stafford. Credior to Dent. Mops up well. A good buy, as we said, from Fitzroy. The toughest there. Smith started at full forward. And a goal kicker today. Inboard to Darcy. Lightning hands to Curley. Goes short. Beautifully delivered to Cook. Marking in front of Dunkley. 35 metres out. He too has gone short. And it's chopped off. Well, should he have had a shot pick, McKenna? What do you reckon?
Absolutely ridiculous. He is a good kick. He's within kicking distance. Took a risk, and a very bad play by James Cook, Pete.
Hudson back to Cox. Already himself a goal kicker today. Around next. Grant marks in the forward pocket. Now, he almost had a rush of blood as well.
In fact, you get that feeling that the Bulldogs just need to settle a little bit. They've got control of this game. Even across their half-forward line, they're just bombing the ball back into the middle of the ground and giving the Swans half a chance. This shot at goal, well, Peter, you might as well describe it, because you're sitting right behind the superstar, number 3 for the Bulldogs.
Well, he hasn't been known over the years as a really long kick, but he's normally fairly accurate, Jared. I'm right behind him as he comes in. I watched him on an earlier goal. He runs very, very straight. I think it'll be a little bit left to right. He might have to go to the left-hand goal post here, Chris Grant, but he's a superstar, and they normally kick them. Oh, beautiful.
Well called, Pete. 312 career goals to Grant. That's his third. He's their leading goal kicker today now.
Well, it's taken them almost half an hour of AFL football to kick the goal, but as often is the case, they'll probably now kick 2 or 3 in a real hurry and break the spirit of the Swans, who really have been struggling to stay in touch with this game, as we have a great look at that shot at goal. But the Swans haven't been able to get value for their work.
So he becomes the leading goal kicker in the game, Chris Grant, with that third goal against his name. Scotty Wine continues to get the ball away from the centre. Mark West has got some run in his legs, and James Cook is going to run in. No, he's not going to run in. He's going to make it difficult for himself, because where he finished, that angle now, if he had been just a little bit more aware of this situation, Jared, he could have nearly run into an open goal.
Yes, I guess he may just want to settle the game down a bit, Robbo. It just looked like he's got a bit of a swollen cheek there, though.
Certainly does. Cook goes for his third goal, and he's got it. 3 goals to Cook and 3 goals to Chris Grant, and the gap widening for the Bulldogs.
Well, 1 in half an hour of footy, then quickly 2 in a minute. And we wonder if the run stops here. The Swans don't respond to this. They could go down by an incredibly big margin and may get even blow out as much as 80 or 90 points. And Terry Wheeler, you're a former coach of the Bulldogs. How do you think they're placed?
Oh, look, Gerard, I think the arm wrestle has finished now. Those 2 goals, just sitting down here. Really, the Swans players, they haven't got the real spruik out on the ground that I thought they'd have when in such an important game. Bulldogs now ready to go, I think.
Kelly unlucky there. The umpire was on the wrong side. There was definitely a high tackle on Kelly.
That's right, Bruce. If Grant Vernon had the view that we had, he certainly would have paid a free kick for a high tackle, but from behind the contest, he obviously can't guess it.
Gee, I'd love to know what happened to Dunkley 2 minutes ago at the other end when he was sprawled on the ground and Cook took an unopposed mark, whether he just fell himself. But 14-5, it's a good point by Terry Wheeler a moment ago. You do feel that the arm wrestle is finally finished. I mean, the Swans have been all but buried for all of this match today, and suddenly you feel as if the last rites have been given to them, because they just can't get back here. Their disposal's not good enough. They haven't finished well enough, and you wonder where they're going to get some magic from. Lewis's kick is superb to O'Brien. They need a succession of these going forward. Craig O'Brien to kick from 52, 53 metres maybe. Twice this year has kicked 5 goals in a match for the Swans. Got back in the team last week, has been played in defence. Had a disappointing grand final here last year. Drop punt. He's kicked it pretty well, actually, right there. And touched. It's a pity that O'Brien didn't have the ball in his hand in the first quarter from 35 metres a couple of times. There's Libber, that eye being worked on. Just trying to close any blood that might be coming out. There's the goal post cam. And at the moment, it's 14-7 to 5-9.
Greatest winning margin in the qualifying final was 98 points by Hawthorn against Sydney. Interestingly, that was way back in 1987. We could be heading for more of the same here this afternoon. Good mark, Carey. Plays on directly, out in front of goal. Lockett doesn't miss those. Can he break his duck? He's kicked 3 behind so far, 2 in the first quarter, 1 in the third. They've only had 4 goal kickers. The only multiple goal kicker for Sydney, as Troy Luff, was 2. They got to within 39 points earlier in the quarter, but the Bulldogs have booted away once more. We sort of felt then that if they'd got to within 5 goals, Libber on the ground like a wrestler with Kelly, the old protagonists. Did you see that up, he said. Plugger for his first. What's he done here? He may have missed, has he, or has he got it? He's got it. At long last. 14-7 to 6-9.
Well, she's going to be a long weekend now for Swans players, their coaching staff, and of course the supporters. They'll have to just hope that the numbers fall correctly for them to see if they get another opportunity to play finals footy. But they'd be pretty worried. It feels as if they haven't got enough momentum going into the match. Injuries have cost them. It'll be a big turn around.
Just saw the umpire talking there to Tony Liberatore. We saw Ramiro earlier. Why would that happen, John?
Well, I think then Libber was actually saying that something happened to him and he wants the umpires to be aware of it. So it was really a case of the boot on the other foot. Libber making the point rather than the umpire.
A beautiful kick by Tony Lockett for his first goal, right in front. Scotty Wine, but this is a player who has lifted the Swans. Dale Lewis, he's had some important possessions around the middle of the ground. Cook's going to get a free kick. He was in front. Just his first kick, coming up for his second kick, basically. Cook, he's affected a couple of tremendous tackles. Goes into the middle, Dyson. Can they get a goal out of this, the Swannies? Dyson's kick, punched away by Croft. Back towards centre half forward. Kelly. Go for it, Paul Kelly. Short kick. Gives away ground. Lewis. Lovely long hand pass. Out there for Nix. Tries to tap it to the advantage of Stevens. Desperate stuff by the Bulldogs' defence. And still there. Gee whiz, there's some tackling ferocity there. And umpire Darren Goldsmith gives the OK to throw it in. Lockett and Peter McKenna. 2 of the great kicks of the game. What do you think, Pete?
Well, Robbo, he's certainly the best kick for goal that I've ever seen. Not kicking as well this year as we see him coming in on the kick. He doesn't take many paces, but when he kicks it, he puts it on the boot. He doesn't drop it from a height. He places on the boot with the right hand and kicks hard through the ball. You can see that perfect kicking style.
Thanks for that, Pete. As Chris Grant, he may have some blood there, Chris Grant. 14-7 to 6-9 the score here. He had a great illustration there of the Lockett kicking skull, as Grant is going to have to come off the ground.
And it surprises me that Paul Kelly hasn't had blood streaming from his body also, because there's no doubt that the tactics of the Bulldogs going into this match was that Liberatore would just wear him like a second skin, and he's done that brilliantly. But every time that Kelly goes to the football, every other Bulldog supporter is trying to knock him round, bruise him, just beat him up a little bit.
Darcy, O'Brien, Scott West. Cameron, very well done. It's been a class act all day. Dent belts it to half forward. Good effort there by Mooney against Montgomery, who came on for Chris Grant and the boundary throw-in. It's had a quiet day, Mooney. Yeah, here's Grant a moment ago.
The boot.
Just second look, bang. Ooh. Dale Lewis. Boundary throw-in. Ruse, little give, okay. Dyson didn't have time to steady, kicks to centre wing. Credial goes hard, misses. Kelly, bad handball, was just too hard for Cook. Scott West has got it. Draw Stevens, then onto the left. Not a great kick, but into the centre, bouncing ball. Over the head of Nix, waits now for Ruse, should kick to Carey, he does, here's a chance, Carey should be away, fumbles, gives up the opportunity, now must deliver, kicks to Stafford, gives Wine just a little chance, Wine laid in, Stafford's got it. We saw him kick a goal in the second quarter, Stafford, from a bit closer in. He's not a bad kick, this fellow. There's Chris Grant in the box on the interchange bench, trying to patch him up. Late in the quarter, we keep saying they're gone, and then we keep saying they need one just to stay in touch as we see the angle. Just don't think they've made any inroads, really. Had chances, haven't they, the Swans? Needed another 3. Let's see if Stafford can get one of them. 52 metres out. High kick. Almost there. Good kick. Wine gets back. He's done a good job, the skipper, Scotty Wine. It was a good kick by Stafford. 14-7 to 6-10.
And in the last minute of the third quarter, Leon Cameron to kick in. 15-8 his stats today. Started out as the designated kicker, but he's got a lot of good possessions upfield. Looks to be walking and limping a little bit there, perhaps, but maybe that's the way he is. 91 to 46. Again, kicks to himself, as he's done so many times today. And kicks long. Darcy the target. Well, they all miss it. Smith started brilliantly. Darcy runs for him. So too does Brown and West. They share it. The new look Brown. He's lost the ponytail. Montgomery. He's got bandaged knee. Maybe not 100%. Squares it for Cook. It's a wrestle. The umpire says play on. Stevens. A little give. And they come away. Shannon Grant's kick is badly directed. Chopped off by the Brownlow medalist Scotty Wine. Out to Dent. First quarter and third quarter brilliant. Second quarter terrific. Hudson. And we've spoken about what he's done today. He certainly made the most of his opportunities. He doesn't know the clock's just about at three-quarter time. He wants to get it moving quickly. Montgomery makes a lead. Going to have to kick it now, Hutto. He's going to have to kick it a country mile. Comes in, tries the spiral punt, kicks it out of bounds on the full. And at three-quarter time, you would think that the Bulldogs have got a match-winning lead. It's 14-7 to 6-10.
Just 1 point taken off that half-time lead, so it's a bit slow going for the Swans. Grant Vernon talking to Paul Hudson. Hudson, a premiership player at Hawthorn. They're just settling it down. Terry Wallace in control here. Heard him talk to Terry Wheeler at half-time, said if we can hold this lead to three-quarter time, it'll make it just about impossible. They've done that. He said we've just got to keep the scoreboard ticking over. They did that pretty well too. It's 14-7 to 6-10. Haven't seen since, obviously. James Cook came back. Ramiro seriously injured, we think, so it's going to be a wash-up from all of this. With the Bulldogs hoping that one of the top two can lose, and Sydney hoping like mad that the top two both win. As we start the final term at the MCG, 14-7 to 6-10. 45 points the margin. Wind and Stafford. Stafford won it. Kelly held on to. No free kick. Libber with him. Kelly's had a frustrating day. Chris Grant beautifully done to Scott West to Mark West. West floats one to full forward. Cook there with Dunkley. They both go to ground. Orchard to try and mop up at the back. Ball rolling out of play. Boundary throw in. Well, Pete McKenna's over in the Great Southern Stand. Peter, can you see any hope at all for the Swans?
No, I can't, Bruce. I think the natural attrition will mean that they'll come home hard, but I think the Bulldogs have got all the answers, and with a scoreboard showing like that, the confidence will be 100%.
Mooney, Darcy, line ball. Dale Lewis, as Robbo said, he had a very good third quarter. O'Brien missed it. Kelly back to O'Brien, gives him the run of it. Can come away here. Probably could have run with the footy a bit, and then he blazes a bit to centre wing. Carey has to work with Cox. Cox had a good game. He should get a free kick. Hanging on. He does. He's done some nice things, Cox.
Interesting one. Cox at left centre wing.
Cox handballs the ball out and then dragged by Carey, so free kick paid for that holding on.
It was good early. Well, Grant, he's been good all day. Had to leave the field in the third quarter with the blood rule. He's been patched up okay. Oh, speaking of being patched up, so too is this fella. He's got eyebrows like a boxer. They've been working on them. Libber, the Brownlow medalist, he kicked 2 Gardners. He got a Morris medalist, he kicked a goal. Just touched on the line.
Free kick.
Free kick, Pete, against Cook all over Dunkley.
I don't think you could argue with that.
Brian Sheen.
And Peter Foster there on the left. Let's see what happened at the goal square there. Just nearly through. Oh, can't do that. And Steve Wallace, of course, former captain. An interested onlooker. Punch away by Darcy. Had a great third quarter. Cook. Handballs up in the air. Johnson. Hudson snaps. What's he done? Goal umpire will run back and tell us that he has kicked a goal. He's been good from limited opportunities, Hudson. That's his third, joining Chris Grant as the leading goal kicker in the match. And that would just about sew it up, you'd reckon.
Have a look at how's this, Stuart, for a belt back.
Yes, it's good as a kick, isn't it? But what was outstanding was the willingness of the Bulldogs to handball here. Nice one there from Johnson. Unselfish. Set up Paul Hudson. He needs to keep kicking goals to stay in, and he'd be too.
And of course, Mike Willisey, a very integral part of the Swans makeup. But a very solemn look on his face. Arnott tackle. Scotty West has been terrific. He's been a bit of a general around the middle of the ground. Curly to Chris Grant. Grant's kicking towards full forward. Goes to the back. Kick it off the ground. James Cook. It's another bully goal. James Cook has now kicked 4 goals. 10 kicks. 2 hand passes. So he's done his job. 16-7. Plays 6-10.
He may well end up with a few more too, Robbo, because really it's been all Bulldogs in this opening couple of minutes of the last term. There's been no resistance whatsoever from Sydney, and you just fear that this margin could really blow out.
It's a celebration out west in Melbourne tonight. 16-7 to 6-10, 103 to 46. Wind unopposed. Mark West well played. Cheekily shows it twice. Goes to the left. Kicks inside 50. Darcy gives Roos one. Probably unintentionally. No free kick. Nick's kick good. That's better to O'Brien. Now he's got a couple to use. Oh, Craig moving on. Johnny Stevens standing on his own for half an hour, and so's Leo Berry. Now he kicks to Barry, I should say. Gets him. He should move it too, with blokes running left, right and centre. Kick is good to centre half forward. Mooney just hasn't had enough of the footy. He's a thumping kick normally. Lockett wants it long. That's probably symbolic of their day. 50 metres well. He's going to get away with it.
There was a change of control between the 2 umpires then. Grant Vernon running into the goal square and Darren Goldspink running in. And actually, I think a play on call probably would have been appropriate, but player on the mark obviously thought he had played on and went over the mark, and a 50-metre penalty resulted.
He almost went around the mark, didn't he?
Yep, that's right. And
gets the goal. So they don't like it. So, John, bottom line, was the correct decision made?
No, I don't think so, Bruce. I mean, the play on call should have been made as soon as he deviated and attempted to kick the ball other than over his mark.
That's what Scotty Wine's arguing.
Here we see it again. Now, he runs around a bit. Scotty Wine obviously believes he's played on and goes forward. Having gone forward, Darren Goldspink pays the 50 because he doesn't think that he should have been allowed to do that.
Well, the Swans get a badly needed goal, but I don't think it's going to alter the result. Sydney fans will be keeping their fingers crossed for other results. North Melbourne and Brisbane, that is, to lose. 17 minutes left in the quarter. 52 to 103. And again, Mark West having a great last quarter. O'Brien this time in the road.
High tackle paid, Pete, so the ball will go back. And a 50-metre penalty now because O'Brien, certainly unintentional. O'Brien didn't know that the free kick was... Brian Sheen gets bowled over here, and as he comes up, he pays a free kick for a high tackle. We see And obviously O'Brien didn't know that it was a kick to the Bulldogs, so threw the ball back thinking it was a Swans kick, inadvertently giving away a 50-metre penalty. Should have gone back to the Bulldogs.
Interesting, you thought Brian Sheen got bowled over. I thought Greg Stafford got tripped.
West kicks at goal and is off target with his 5th kick of the day. But he's been busy in the last quarter, Mark West, his first score of the afternoon. This is why the 50-metre penalty was paid.
Now O'Brien clearly thinks that it's a Swans free kick, so throws the ball back as if that were the case. Should have been given to the Bulldogs, 50-metre penalty.
Kelly to Orchard in the back pocket. Sydney still with a chance, not in this match you would reckon, but depending on other results. Barry around Grant. Been the story of the day. Johnson after Stevens fumbled. Chris Grant again. Lovely balk by the big fellow and pinpoint accuracy to Hudson. Similar distance to the shot he had late in the 3rd quarter. Cook made a lead. He's gone long, and Dunkley, will he be paid the mark or is that a behind? Let's wait here. Brian Sheehan runs in. Dunkley picks himself up. He's lost a boot.
Probably a bit stiff not to have a 50-metre penalty. We'll have a look on the replay. Dunkley clearly takes the mark, and then Luke Darcy comes in and just helps him out with a bit of a trip and a bit of a push. Not that it's going to affect the result, of course, but this will now be Sydney's 6th loss out of 6 here in Melbourne in finals football, and I guess there'll be a lot of discussion about the transition from the smaller SCG ground to the larger MCG ground. But I think more importantly and more accurately, it's not so much the geography of the ground, but more so the way they've come into this game, lacking a little bit of momentum, not playing good footy, a couple of key players injured. I think they really have missed Brad Seymour over the last couple of weeks. He's been a vital player for them in defence all year.
And finds O'Brien just up in the back pocket. He's got Stafford on offer short, but he's decided to go long.
Good kick. Gets it to Stevens. Stevens runs away onto his favoured left side. Kicks into the middle. Carey has just had one of those days. Tidied up by Cox out wide to Smith. Smith goes down the ground. Looks for Hudson. The kick may have bounced just inside the line. It has. Paul Hudson prepared to surrender the football. The boundary umpire will throw it in.
He has had a shot at Carey, hasn't he, Robbo?
Well, he's just... I don't think he'd want to remember this, no. Stephen Carey. He's been a good player for the Swans throughout the year, but a lot of their players have been down on their normal form. Dyson to O'Brien, in turn Lewis. Lewis not too bad. Little bit of a fumble there by Stevens. Scotty West, Dyson's handball. Out in front of Roos. Oh, terrific stuff by Cox. He beat 3 players for the footy then, and then kicked it lovely to Brown. Brown can go in. Short pass is good. Unselfish. Knocked away there by Dunkley and... Gee, James Cook. Andrew Dunkley maybe a little fortunate there. There's plenty to say to Cook. Cook has the last laugh. Good punch though by Dunkley. And then goes after Cook and yes. Boundary throw in. Oh, down goes the Swans player in O'Brien. The tackle from West. He doesn't mind a fierce tackle, Mark West. Handball away to Lewis.
Under pressure, bad kick. Hudson on the end of it. Can work this with Luff. You'd back him from here, though he keeps it low, close, across the face of a hind. His kick a moment ago when Dunkley took the mark was actually outstanding from 50 when he kicked the ball down low. There's Stephen Carey. He has struggled. His first final, Troy Cook's first final. In fact, the half a dozen players for Sydney who are playing in their first finals, Stevens, Barry, Nix, Orchard, Carey, Cook, between them, nothing. They've really struggled. Kelly and Stevens run into each other. Taken by Johnson. Comes away. Not afraid to run even late in the day. Kicks to Cook. Cook has a fair bit of it. Work to the boundary line. No free kick. Boundary throw-in. So not much of a contribution from the Sydney players. Look at Kelly here with John Stevens. That too symbolic of so much that's happened with Sydney today. No cohesion. Grant spins, turns, back to Mark West. Beautifully done back kick to Nix. It was well set up by Grant. Poorly finished by Mark West.
Barry. Johnson legged twice. Dent. Centering kick. That's okay. Brown in the pocket. youngster from the Bendigo Pioneers, where he won 2 best and fairests and the Morris Medal.
He's got great skills, this young man, in his first year of footy. And you'd be very surprised if he doesn't give this a good shake.
Left footer, hit the post. He gave the post a shake, Gerard. First score of the afternoon. He'll be disappointed with that effort. 54 points is the margin, and it was 51 at quarter time. So Sydney has kept pace with the Bulldogs since then, but what an onslaught in that first term. A record score by the Bulldogs against the Swans in that opening stanza. Lewis, who certainly lifted in the third quarter. Bounce favours Dunkley. Fisted some 35 metres towards Cox on centre wing. Cox over the head of Shannon Grant. But the Bulldogs again with numbers, as they had all afternoon. Cox from Cameron. Time to set something up. A Bork. Long kick. Grant reads the play beautifully around Luff. Onto Mark West. Good tackle, Dunkley. Luff paddles it wide. And the Swans will get out of danger. Barry's kick up towards left half forward. Kelly.
Paul Kelly, short kick in towards the full forward area. The Bulldog defence, miserly as ever. Craig Ellis along the line, gathered by Cox, not able to keep it in. And the boundary umpire will throw it in about 40 metres around from the Swans' goal.
He's had a impressive debut, Simon Cox, in his first final.
Well, you really, if you were super critical, you'd go hard to find some poor players in the Bulldog lineup. They've been wonderfully disciplined. Liberatore still striving at centre-half forward, not quite up to centre-half forward for the Swans. Now Nix shares it with Luff, in turn Orchard. Orchard from the middle of the ground. Waits the kick into the full forward area. Kelly couldn't take the mark. Liberatore tackled by O'Loughlin. O'Brien feigning for the free kick. Shannon Grant over the top to Barry. Barry a little kick to the front of the square. Dale Lewis will probably kick a goal here. No, he won't. And that was a pretty ordinary effort there by Dale Lewis.
I don't think O'Brien was feigning.
He'll be all right, Pete. Well, not much in that.
Certainly didn't look as though there was any contact high, did it, Robbo?
No.
So the Bulldogs from defence now. This is Dale Lewis. He had Stafford to the left. Boy, you'd be pretty disappointed if you were the big ruckman. Back to Lewis. Now Maxfield, who's had a poor match. Kicks to full forward. Getting back there was Stevens. But the mark taken by Johnson. Lockett unable to get really into the game at all. Johnson's handball over the top to Cox, who Gerard said a moment ago, he's had a good debut in finals. Back to Johnson. He too has been outstanding in his first final. What a year he's had. Hudson's been good. He's probably played himself into the final series for the rest of the 2 or 3 matches. The Doggies might be involved. Who knows, they could go all the way here. Probably need a lucky break on the weekend though. The prelim finals have such an advantage. Kelly to Lewis. Lewis through the centre. A handball to Shannon Grant. Grant centres the ball. Wants a big mark. Mooney got rid of a couple at the back. Getting back there, Barry has an opportunity. Comes back, has Lockett on his own. Hooks it back to Big Plugger. He's got it. Strolls in and kicks his second. Two to Lockett. 8 to Sydney. 8-11 to 16 goals 10. Just ironically, the first time Paul Kelly has probably used the ball constructively all day. Sent it to Lewis and then I got it going.
Yes, and at least the Swans can take a positive out of it, that they haven't just allowed it to fall completely away. They've battled on, showed a little bit of character in this final 10 minutes.
5 kicks for Tony Lockett, and his return for the day, 2 goals, 3. The goals coming a little bit too late, though. Some of those misses. The 2 in the first quarter were critical, as Sydney was absolutely flattened by the Bulldogs' onslaught when they kicked 9-2 to 5 behinds. Scotty Wind, Brownlow medalist, got the heavy knock early. Stafford, West. West kicks towards half forward. Darcy's been good in the second half.
Scotty Wind.
West Long bomb. That's a great kick. It's a goal. Terrific reply. West kicks his first, and 17th for the Bulldogs. 17-10 to 8-11. They've got every answer.
And Luke Darcy, well, he's a difficult player to match up on, and he's showing what great value he can be if he really does apply himself. But Scott West has had a fantastic year. He really has been one of the players of the season.
Pete Philandia there and Steve Collinuke having a chat. And Steve, hopefully, he can come back next week. Pete's out, of course, long-term with that knee injury.
Well, Steve Collinuke will be trying to pinpoint one of his teammates because the performance by the Western Bulldogs has been first class. Steve Collinuke will have to force his way into this team. At centre for Scotty West again. And Brad Johnson just accumulating. Chris Grant unselfishly out wide to young Brown. Gets back onto his left foot. Snapshot for goal. That looks like a goal too.
Got it.
Nathan Brown kicks his first goal of the game. His first of many, many finals goals, you would think. A very talented young player. The Bulldogs supporters have got heaps and heaps to cheer about. And Scotty West setting it up again.
And he's been used quite beautifully by the coach, Terry Wallace. Just bringing him on at critical times, just allowing him to sit it out when the pace was really on. But we called him a skillful player, and that's why. He's a truly classy left footer. But you've been pretty wrapped in Scotty Wine's performance, Robbo.
Oh, Jared, he just stands up on every occasion for the Bulldogs. The captain is going to get a free kick here. He's had 17 hit-outs credited by our stats. It's not going to Scotty Wine, it's going to Mark West.
He's had a good last quarter.
Yes, and I think he's grown in stature also. His confidence, enormous. Is that a mark? Not paid. Cook plays on. Hand pass, Nick's in strife. O'Brien, hand pass to Luff.
Luff away. Shannon Grant down low, good take. Nice mark at half-back, quiet match. High ball, Lewis and Martin against one another. Martin hasn't had a whole lot of field time. Stafford kicks the ball to centre half forward. Dyson caught underneath. Lockett coming out, long way from home. Croft worried out of it. Grant good handball. Caught by Mark West with a hip and shoulder.
He's had a great last quarter, Mark West. He's fit, he's aggressive, he's fast.
Jared, it reminds me so much of what Troy Cook did to Rowan Smith at the SCG a few weeks ago.
Well, he's an absolute beauty. He's just coming back into the side after a suspension. He doesn't mind dishing it out, the young man from the West, who's taken their name. It's a beauty.
Darcy over the top. Barry round the corner. Lockett's on the end. Oh, he should have taken a big plugger. Tries to brush through, good handball. John Stevens from 45 kicks the goal. Well played, plugger. Lockett's handball. Stevens long kick. And the Swans 9-11 to 18-10.
And James Cook finally coming off the ground. A terrific performance by him. Maybe he's still got some concussion, John, because I thought that the umpire had paid that mark down there before, but strangely enough, he played on.
Yeah, Brian Sheen did actually signal that there was a mark paid, yet Cook elected to play on, which was a little bit strange. So maybe he is suffering a little bit from that knock earlier in the game.
Only 10 career goals to Stevens. The difference back to 53 points. So really it's been kick for kick since the quarter-time siren, when the difference was 51 points. Luff, to whom Rodney Eade had a bit to say at three-quarter time. Croft and Lockett. Shannon Grant, hand pass. Crediuk intercepting from Arnott. He gets buffeted by his own teammate. Crediuk. Still Arnott. Well done. Battled on. Kelly, I think he may have been over the line, or has he kicked it? He's got it. Gee, that was close. Very close to the line, but the goal umpire in perfect position, and Paul Kelly kicks his first goal in Sydney's 10th as they make another change. Carey comes back on. Now this will give us a good idea. Directly above Paul Kelly, Arnott, number 2, gets it to him. Ooh, gee. You like it, Robbo?
Yes, a goal.
Evenly divided up here, I think.
We'll play your white coat,
By
Robbo.
the barest of short half heads, Bruce.
Robbo, I agree with you. I reckon it was a goal. What a great shot it was.
Terrific, wasn't it?
Yep, from the top.
I mean, that gives you an example of how quickly the player can grab the ball and put it onto his boot. 18-10 to 10-11. Still a struggle at the centre. Dale Lewis, are you going to get past Mark West? I don't think so. Mickey Martin, he's a bit of a terrier too. He races away with the footy.
Free kick paid against West for scragging Lewis after he disposed of the footy.
Well, the first bit of undisciplined play by the Bulldogs, blatant undiscipline. The wide kick finds O'Brien. O'Brien's kick, and a good mark. That should be paid. It is to Paul Kelly. Liberatore not happy, but he's been terrific, Tony Liberatore. 13 possessions. He's restricted the magnificent play of Paul Kelly. 15 possessions to the Swans captain, and just 1 goal. Goes in short, finds O'Brien. O'Brien in turn finds Barry. Barry should really have a shot for goal. He's going to kick, well, he's given away ground. Cook has got it. He's right on the 50-metre line. Barry has improved the angle, of course. Cook will kick from straight in front. But one doubts the Swans' small player here to kick the distance. He goes short, and it's going to be taken away by the Bulldogs. Chris Grant kicks it down the ground. Hudson, well done by Nix, and runs away from Paul Hudson. Well done, Matthew Nix. He kicks towards the half-forward area. It spills to the back, gathered by Carey, in turn to O'Brien. A lovely kick across his shoulder to the goal square. Croft, O'Loughlin's got him. He gives away a behind to the Swans. 4 rush behinds to Sydney. Matthew Croft has been pretty good. Leon Cameron and James Cook having a spell on the bench, and Rowan Smith to kick in for the Bulldogs. 62,500 people here at the MCG today. Pretty good crowd. You would think the AFL would be satisfied with that. Magnificent conditions. We had rain for 2 or 3 days during the week, which has softened the ground up nicely. And Paul DiMartina, well, he'd be pretty happy. Gary Dempsey there, Brownlow medalist for the Bulldogs. And Paul DiMartina, well, he'll have the opportunity maybe to get back into this Bulldog lineup as the weeks progress.
It's interesting, isn't it, Terry Wallace? Got a little bit of criticism about 6 weeks ago about training and starting training so early with the Bulls way back in October. When they lost a couple of games, people were all over him, but really their kicking skills today are showing the real advantage in concentrating on what was perceived as one of their weaknesses.
Michael Martin, Troy Cook, it's going to be another bounce. 118 to 72. 46 points the margin. It was 51 at quarter time, 46 at half, 45 at three-quarter time. They've basically been able to sit on this lead that they set up in the opening term. They have been terrific, the Doggies. And the boundary throw-in about 70 metres away from Sydney's goal. Not far from where Peter McKenna has been sitting throughout the day. Peter, what do you reckon Sydney can take from the match?
Well, I think they're at least battling it out, but Terry Wallace has coached them magnificently. They've crowded that forward line. Not only Plugger, they'll get a goal here. The Plugger, yes.
He's got his third, Pete. So Lockett gets his third. A bit like last week where he got goals late in the match. Pete, Terry Wallace, keep going with that. Peter McKenna, what of Terry Wallace? You've been impressed with his coaching?
Standing, even in his final quarter, Bruce, he has crowded that back line. I've never seen so many Bulldogs guys going down the back line. Even their midfielders, not only Scott Wine, he's down there, and they've got numbers down there on Lockett, and they've given them no chance whatsoever.
So the difference back to 40 points, which it was early in the third quarter. In fact, Sydney got to within 39 points, and then the Bulldogs kicked away again. They've had all the answers. Wine to Lewis, who have been good for their respective sides. Plugger usually does well on those one-on-one duels. Shannon Grant and Lachlan. Can he get there in time? He's kept it in front, and that may be a goal, or was it over the line? It's there. Shannon Grant, well done.
Pretty smart by Lachlan too.
It was 12-12 to 18-10. And
Dale Lewis has been one of the better players for the Swans in this second half of footy. He's got a number of possessions out of the middle, and well, what a good job that Matthew Croft's done on Tony Lockett. We saw him there beat him, or at least neutralise him in a one-on-one. That had just shades of Wayne Harms and Kenny Sheldon about it from the 1981 grand final.
They've kicked 3 sneaky goals, haven't they? 3 sneaky goals, the Swans in the last quarter. That was
might have even been the 79 grand final, Robbo.
Hey, Robbo, was that a short half head as well, or just a short head?
Oh, they went for the developed print, Peter. Scotty whined again, and his fellow midfielder Scott West not able to break away. Darren Goldsmith there with, well, he looks as though he's got a fairly good relationship with the players. Darren Goldsmith having plenty of chats during the day to Paul Kelly and Tony Liberatore. Well done, Arnott. Gets it out to Stevens. Stevens kick to the full forward area. Croft overruns it. O'Loughlin, Curley, still O'Loughlin, tackled fiercely. Johnson tackled by Cook. Ball spills to Arnott. Arnott's kick bounces close to the line. Dent gets back. Hand pass. Vision all right. Rowan Smith run down the ground. 2 bounces. Little left foot kick is pretty good. Scotty West is on the end of it. West accumulating possessions. Goes in short. Punched away from Hudson. Well done to West. Nicks. But West does well. Hudson. Darcy does well. Out the back to Mark West. In turn to Rowan Smith. Evasive work by Rowan Smith. Grediuk in the middle of the ground. Handball. Oh, just completely bamboozles Nathan Brown. Arnott gets back. Handball away. Dunkley in turn to Stevens. Stevens, after 1 bounce, 2 bounces, didn't come back to him. Oh, comedy of errors. Stevens caught with the football. Well, he's going to not get a free kick. No, umpire will bounce on centre wing.
Some exciting play by Rowan Smith earlier, and Darcy threw the legs to him. Smith's one of those players who moves his body in such a way he's almost impossible to tackle. John Stevens, footy just getting away from him. He plays the game like a 16-year-old with not much experience, but you've got to admire what he's done in his first season of league footy. Orchard's kicked back into the centre. Dyson held up by Mark West. No free kick. Barry back to Nicks. It's had just a game. Short into the centre. Okay. Sydney actually enjoying its best moments here late in the match. O'Brien away. Goes towards Lockett. Lockett front spot. Croft. Curley at the back. Fists away. Sydney with some numbers here at the foot of the ball. Here's Stevens. Has kicked 1 goal in the last quarter. Lines them up. Floats it across the face. And it's going to be a boundary throw. Untidy footy there by John Stevens. 118 to 84.
Too little too late, I think, sums it up. Terry Wallace has the look of a loser there, but he's anything but that today. His coaching has been brilliant, and so too is his side. Darcy, who's been excellent, especially after the second half, or in the second half. Crediuk effective to Smith, who's been all over the place. Started at full forward, and he's even kicked out from full back. 10 and 7, plus 6 marks. Grant and Luff, or Luff's got him, just dragged him on the jumper there. West legged, still West, and O'Brien takes it over the line from Mark West, and it will be thrown in right on 50. Rodney Eade, well, he'll be wondering about the other results. David Smorgan is happy.
Robert Shaw we noticed in the box with Rodney Eade a moment ago, which is a bit of a surprise.
He's coaching women's cricket, Bruce, isn't he?
He is, but he goes back a long way, their friendship with Robert, so he's there today. Free kick for Carey.
Paid in the ruck contest, Bruce.
Carey at right half back, 118 to 84. So 34 points the margin. That's the closest Sydney's been since quarter time. Curley at the back, couldn't complete it. Barry, off he goes. He's a left footer. Does well. Lockett outnumbered. Darcy did well in the contest. Kelly, Liberatore wearing him like a glove. Kelly again with a chance from Shannon Grant. He'll snap. Can't bring it around enough. Stevens possibly. Ball still in play. Brown comes at him now. Ruse, that is out of bounds. It'll be thrown in about 35 metres from the behind post.
Well, that would have just about told the story of the Swans' day if that ball from a toe poke off Paul Ruse's boot had gone out on the full. They trail by 34 points, so The Bulldogs still alive after the first finals match. Craig Ellis, a wonderful long hand pass out into the path there of Brad Johnson. Down the ground, and the mark taken by Grant. Another quality performance by this player. 20 possessions, 10 marks. Mark West has finished his game off nicely and kicks it beautifully to Hudson. Hudson with 3 goals. Down into the last minute, still Paul Dimatina. Now, with the first smile you probably would have seen on his face for the week. May come back into the team because, of course, Jose Ramiro went off with what looked to be a shoulder injury. Lovely long kick by Paul Hudson. He thinks it's a goal. What does the goal umpire think? It's a behind. 3 goals, 2 to Paul Hudson. Terry Wallace, well, maybe a look of satisfaction. Eventually, his team set it up. 9 goals, 2 to 5 behinds in the first quarter. They really haven't looked back. Kick in by Orchard. And he finds Stephen Carey just outside the defensive 50 metres area.
Deep into this second qualifying final. To centre wing, Luff. Inside. Misses the target. Cut off easily by Dent. And that's it. The Doggies over the Swans by 35 points. Sydney now must rely on Geelong. There's Wallace and Reed, 2 former teammates. Geelong and St Kilda winning. They must win for Sydney to stay alive. If either Brisbane or North are successful, then Sydney is out of the finals race. I think if Terry Wallace is the coach of the year, David Morgan is probably the president of the year. It was a great performance. In the end, I think the scoreline flattered the Swans, Jared. They got within 6. Let's go down and join Terry Wallace with Terry Wheeler.
Great first quarter.
Yeah, actually the Sydney Swans have been a very good side in the first quarters, and we thought that if we could match them in that area of the game, that would be a real start for us. And, you know, we didn't believe that our guys had suffered from nerves, even though a lot of them hadn't played, and, you know, they showed that they're a good footy side.
And what about the centre bounce? Scott Wine, Scott West, fair pair.
Yeah, look, once again, probably we thought that was the area, the key area of the game, as I spoke to you before the match, that if we got first use of the ball and stopped Lockett from getting first use, that was going to be a real bonus for us, and those 2 blokes are sensational.
Good on you, player. Congratulations.
Thanks, Wes.
Yeah, it's interesting. He talked about the Swans' first quarter. They've won 13 first quarters going into today's match, and for the Bulldogs only 8. Here's Leon Cameron with Dipper.
Thanks very much. Well, Leon, you start half-back flag, a magnificent game by yourself today, but what a great day for the Doggies.
Yeah, it's a great day for us. I mean, we're under the pump because of our style of play all week in the papers and last week, and plus our final series over the last 5 or 6 years. We've had 5, 6 finals and we've gone down pretty convincingly. Today was an important day for us, and with the reserves getting off with a great start, winning easily, it fired us up to come on and take the Swans.
Everybody played well today, Leon, but Scotty Wine in the middle, in the back line, fantastic leader.
Yeah, Wine is sensational. He's had a magnificent year. So, I think it's equal to his Brownlow year, and he's been leading us from the start to the finish. So,
well, thanks for joining us, and good luck for the rest of the finals.
Thanks, Dipper. Thanks, mate.
Good boy.
There's Jose Ramiro, which is interesting. He's in there with the group. They've got Southern to come back next week from suspension. Collier to come back as well. Dimatina has to wait 1 more week. I think the key, Jared, is if they get a lucky break and either either Geelong or St Kilda is beaten, they can go straight to the prelim final.
Yes, they probably need a lucky break. It's going to be difficult for them to win 4 matches straight, particularly with injuries and a couple of suspensions. But they've been upsetting the critics all season, as they've done once again today. And there's Paul Dimatina, a pretty emotional guy, who'll be looking forward to getting back on this track on the MCG hopefully for him in a final in 2 weeks' time.
So just repeating for Sydney to stay alive as we look at Dimatina and Wallace, and then Smorgan and Wallace. For the Swans to stay alive on this weekend, they need both the top teams to win. St Kilda tomorrow afternoon at Waverley, and Geelong on Sunday night. So they're going to have to wait till right at the end. Celebrations left, right and centre. past and present players here. It was a terrific performance, so on behalf of the whole commentary team at 7, well done to the Doggies. They set it up in the first quarter, and in the end, they beat Sydney by 35 points.